Chapter 32. This angry kick hit the target, but there was a layer of sit-up cushion, which was sprinkled with lime powder that Toru Watanabe had deliberately thrown away just now. Still Flow's face was hit by it. Toru Watanabe covered his aching waist with his left hand and quickly pulled away, throwing whatever he caught with his right hand. At the same time, he said loudly, "Miss Still Flow, I don't know how your chemistry is. Quicklime and water will have a chemical reaction, and then it will immediately heat up to more than 300 degrees Celsius. Please be careful of your eyes and tongue. You're courting death." Still Flow's anger was worse than lime powder boiling in water. She desperately opened her teary eyes and rushed toward Toru Watanabe. "I'll kill you." Toru Watanabe, who had been avoiding direct confrontation, had no way to escape. The two of them exchanged blows at lightning speed, exchanging blows back and forth. Under the sunlight, the lime and dust around them were like clouds being swept up by a gale, just like a churning sea of clouds. Oh, Miki Kujo sighed with interest as if she was watching a 3D movie. Toru Watanabe dodged or blocked all the other party's attacks, but his arms and feet were numb with pain. He had no doubt that if he pulled up his trousers and sleeves, there would definitely be bruises. But Still Flow was not having a good time. Toru Watanabe was smart and never slacked off. He was destined to be great, so naturally he would not forget a simple chemical reaction. At this time, her eyes were crazily crying, and her temperature was gradually rising. If it was an ordinary person, they would have held their eyes and screamed. But Still Flow was not an Olympic judo champion. She was an assassin trained by the Kujo family. The people she had killed were more than the total population of Toru Watanabe's hometown. His heart was filled with determination to kill Toru Watanabe in one fell swoop. Toru Watanabe felt that his hands and feet were too painful to keep up with his reactions. He knew that he could not continue like this. As long as he took a punch or a kick, he would definitely lose his fighting ability, and then he would be left with only a dead end. Jing Lu closed her eyes subconsciously because of her tears. After taking the punch, he found an opportunity to press his right hand, which still had some lime powder, on her eyes. Ah! Jing Lu couldn't restrain her human instincts. She quickly distanced herself and covered her eyes as she wailed. This time, even if it didn't blind her, the lime powder wouldn't make her feel comfortable. Toru Watanabe didn't feel any better. His face was almost crooked from Shirlio's punch, and his mouth was filled with the taste of blood. Fortunately, he insisted on brushing his teeth every morning and night. His teeth were firm and there was no danger of them falling out. Toru Watanabe's potential erupted. Under the great pain, he gained strength instead. He pulled out a pole used for pole vaulting and threw it at Shirley with all his strength. Still Stream relied on listening to the wind and grabbed the pole by instinct. Toru Watanabe's expression changed. The experience he gained from master-level kickboxing made him subconsciously tuck the pole under his armpit. Then, he quickly wrapped his arms around the pole a few times. Just as he thought, the moment he finished doing all this, a force that he could not resist immediately came from the pole. Fortunately, he made a prompt decision. Otherwise, if the other party took the pole away, he would be in a dilemma. Toru Watanabe glanced at the basketball and football he had just thrown on the ground. He didn't care whether he could kick or whether he could hit the target. He just kicked all of them. Some hit the target, some didn't. According to Toru Watanabe's idea, only a few hit the other party's head. Jing Lu was a little embarrassed at first, but Toru Watanabe's strength was too weak. Even if she took it with her face, she would feel a little pain at most. She endured the burning pain in her eyes and grabbed the pole with both hands, ready to take it in one breath. But she didn't know that she had fallen into Toru Watanabe's trap. In addition to basketball, football, and shot put, his left hand was wrapped around the pole. Regardless of it being pulled away little by little, he bent down, picked up the shot put, and threw it in the most violent way. Unfortunately, Toru Watanabe's strength was still weak and his accuracy was a little worse. He only hit the other party's chest. But that was enough. Bang! The shot put fell to the ground, making a sound. At the same time, Jing Lu was smashed to the ground. Toru Watanabe gasped for breath. The pole slipped from his armpit. He almost had no strength. 10 seconds later, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva, looked at Jing Lu lying on the ground moaning, and picked up the shot put that had rolled to the side. Because he didn't dare to get too close, he didn't have enough strength and didn't aim high. He aimed at the upper body, which had the largest surface area. The shot put began to fall halfway. With great luck, it hit the other party's ankle. Ah! Jing Lu screamed, but she didn't move. It seemed that she had lost the ability to resist. Toru Watanabe staggered to the still sliding shot put and said, "For this day, do you know how much I have sacrificed, Miss Jing Lu?" He used his foot to stop the ball from sliding and bent down to pick it up while enduring the pain. He didn't want to hit a woman, and he didn't want to kill anyone. To be more precise, he was afraid of killing people. However, the other party had stabbed him 6 times, injected him with succinylcholine, and punched him 4 times in the stomach. Fear was instinctive, but Toru Watanabe only did what he had to do. The men in black were shocked. Jing Lu, the bodyguard of Miss Jing Lu, was defeated by a student. Although she relied on the terrain and was careless, a failure was a failure. They looked at Miki Kujo from the corner of their eyes, waiting for her order. Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe with a blank expression. Toru Watanabe was still observing Jing Lu's reaction. He was about to win. He couldn't be careless. He continued to say, "Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and lift dumbbells for half an hour. Dance the second set of radio gymnastics at 6:30. Memorize English and Mandarin from 7 to 8 o'clock. Go to the library from 8:30 to 11 o'clock to read a useful biography. Study from 2 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, including biology, modern society, mathematics, and art. At 7 o'clock in the evening, swim in the 50-meter-long swimming pool. Even if you want to die, you have to swim 10 laps. At 9 o'clock, listen to the English radio while lifting dumbbells or doing push-ups. Do you know how I survived such days?" The men in black had a strange expression. Enough. Jing Lu, who had lost her resistance, suddenly sat up. She covered her left eye with her left hand and barely opened her right eye. Bang, 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 bang. Toru Watanabe was still sliding the shot put. He looked at the pistol in Jing Lu's right hand and raised his hands. "Is this necessary?" Ha 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 ha. Miki Kujo laughed very happily. She even pressed her flat and thin belly with her hands. After a long time, she waved her hand when she had enough of laughing. Jing Lu put away the pistol and leaned back against the basket, panting. Her eyes were completely closed, and her face was full of pain. "Take that medicine," Miki Kujo said. Jing Lu waited for a while before she realized that she was talking to her. She fumbled for the medicine box and stuffed a healing pill into her mouth. Soon, the red and swollen eyes, the bleeding corner of her mouth, and the numb ankle, everything returned to normal. She stood up and glared at Toru Watanabe. "Again, I promise to kill you this time." This was what Toru Watanabe understood her meaning. He was not stupid. He looked at Miki Kujo. "Miss Kujo?" "Continue." "Ha. Ha ha ha." Kujio Miyoshi laughed so hard that she clutched her stomach. "You look so cute when your face turns pale. I like it." She sighed and said happily, "I'm very happy today. I'll let you go this time. I'll kill you next time when I'm in a bad mood." Miki Kujo stood up and walked to Jing Lu's side. She took the medicine in her hand and looked at it carefully. "Miss, I'm sorry." Jing Lu bowed. "Next time, whether or not you can be cured will depend on the doctor's skill." Jing Lu thought of her ankle that couldn't move and her eyes that were almost ruined. "Please don't worry, miss." Miki Kujo put the medicine in the pocket of her school skirt and left the sports equipment room. Jing Lu and the men in black followed silently. After everyone left, Toru Watanabe collapsed on a sit-up cushion. The lime powder was still dancing in the light beam. The equipment was scattered all over the floor. The chair that Miki Kujo sat on was still there. The crow's cry came from outside the warehouse door. Finally, he survived. Chapter 33. Character: Toru Watanabe. Age: 15. Intelligence: 7. Charm: 10. Smile: beautiful, gentle. Physical strength: 3. Items: Detector *1, 2/3, 50% intelligence coupon. Skills: Encyclopedic knowledge, kickboxing, master. Points: 79,000. Money: 1,155,652 yuan. Sign in. Yoshimi Tamamo, 24 days. Toru Watanabe lay on the mat and looked at the light blue transparent window in a daze. Miki Kujo's sign in was suspended. In addition, Smile, Gentle, used a 50% charm coupon and 5,000 points, and the master level, Kickboxing, was 100,000 points. There was no hope for the master level skill next month, and the same went for charm. According to the supplementary provisions, after intelligence, charm, and physical strength reached 10 points, the points needed to exchange for each point doubled. Charm was already 10 points, and it needed 100,000 points to upgrade to 11 points. In the future, unless he got a 50% discount coupon, Toru Watanabe felt that he wouldn't spend points on charm anymore. He was too handsome, and it was already the limit of human beings. Also, according to the supplementary provisions, his normal appearance was now 9 points, and his smile could reach 10 points, which was almost equivalent to having a love at first sight skill. If he wasn't a scumbag, he wouldn't dare to smile casually at people. Because of the 50% discount coupon, he only needed 50,000 points to exchange for intelligence, but he needed to consider the direction. Toru Watanabe lay for a while and struggled to stand up. His whole body hurt badly. He could only wait for his injuries to heal. Healing medicine and the hospital would bring trouble, and the school's infirmary was also impossible. Toru Watanabe put away the basketball, football, shot put, and pole on the ground, carried his school uniform jacket, closed the sliding door of the equipment room, and slowly walked back to the club building. It wasn't easy coming here, and going back was even more difficult. Thinking of climbing 5 floors, Toru Watanabe wanted to skip school. At the vending machine on the first floor, he bought the lemon tea that Rin Kiyono wanted and a bottle of iced cola for himself. He placed the iced coke on the side of his face that had been punched and used the low temperature to suppress the expansion of the hematoma. Watanabe. A familiar voice came from behind. Koizumi sensei? Aona Koizumi, who was holding a lesson plan in her hands, turned the corner and looked over. I'm here to buy drinks. I'll go back and continue my studies. Toru Watanabe said and hurried upstairs, not wanting her to see his red and swollen face. Because of the sudden exertion of strength, her legs started to tremble uncontrollably just as she climbed up 2 steps. Apart from being a little swollen, his handsome face was almost impeccable. He almost hit the stairs. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi quickly walked over. She held the teaching materials in her left hand and helped Toru Watanabe up with her right hand. She wasn't short, but she was a woman after all. In addition, she could only use one hand. If she wanted to help Toru Watanabe up, she had to use her body. Toru Watanabe felt that his teacher's body was very soft. Are you all right? I'm fine. I accidentally slipped. Be careful when you walk. What happened to your face? Sensei, what shampoo are you using? It smells so good. Aona Koizumi glared at Toru Watanabe and said reproachfully, answer the teacher's question. I fought with someone. Fought? Yeah. Toru Watanabe nodded. Although I took a punch, I won. I didn't lose. Sensei Koizumi, can you not tell the school about this? What exactly happened? Does it have anything to do with you wanting to transfer schools a while ago? A woman's intuition was really scary. Transfer schools? Toru Watanabe pretended to be stunned, then shook his head. It has nothing to do with that. In the time it took him to say this, he thought of an excuse. A guy liked a girl and sent me a love letter. I ignored the girl, then that guy came to me for revenge. Sensei, what can I do about this? There are so many girls who like me. I can't respond to all of them, right? Really? Tomorrow, I'll give you the unopened love letter. Toru Watanabe promised. Aona Koizumi saw that he didn't look like he was lying, so she believed him. Toru Watanabe saw that her expression had eased, so he took the opportunity to say, "Sensei, let's just forget about this. It's not a big deal, and it's already in the past. If we inform the school and parents, not only will it affect the midterm exams, but that girl will also be embarrassed. How can we just let it go like this?" Aona Koizumi's face was stiff. When Toru Watanabe felt a headache, she said, "Come with me to the infirmary." "You're not going to inform the school after going to the infirmary?" "That depends on your performance." "Sensei Koizumi, I like you the most." Aona Koizumi smiled and helped Toru Watanabe to the infirmary. The corridor was quiet and there was no one, but occasionally there were sounds of fighting coming from the activity classroom. It seemed that not everyone was studying. "These guys don't know that I'm smarter than them, and I work harder than them. I, Watanabe, am destined to be great for a reason." Toru Watanabe, who had just gone out to fight, was very satisfied with himself. Sensei also fought when he was young. Aona Koizumi suddenly said. "Sensei, don't joke around. We're already very close to each other. There's no need to make up this kind of thing to pull us closer." Toru Watanabe, who felt his sensei's soft body, said with a double meaning. Aona Koizumi laughed. "Why would I lie to you? You really fought?" "Of course. In high school, I pressed someone against the wall and beat him up." "Whoa." Toru Watanabe was really surprised. "What happened?" Aona Koizumi looked very gentle, and was completely different from violence. The result. "I can only say, Sensei unexpectedly has a talent for fighting," Aona Koizumi said with a little pride. Toru Watanabe's face was full of admiration. "As expected of my Koizumi sensei, I'm very talented in fighting." "Don't talk nonsense," Aona Koizumi reprimanded, and then laughed. "Sometimes students fight because of small things. It was originally fine, but because of sensei, things became awkward. This time I won't blame you." "Sensei, why did you fight? Was it because of the love letter? Some hot girl's boy confessed to you, and then she came to find trouble with you?" "There's no hot girl. Sensei, I went to high school in a small town, and hot girls only exist on TV there." "Then why did you fight?" At this point, Aona Koizumi suddenly looked confused, and murmured, "Although there are some people in town who are very annoying, I didn't fight with them." "Who did I fight with, and what was the reason?" "This is bad, Sensei. You're so young, and your memory is already deteriorating?" Aona Koizumi rolled her eyes at Toru Watanabe, but even until the two of them reached the infirmary, she still couldn't remember who she fought with, and why. Because of the uniqueness of the students, the doctors in the high school infirmary were usually female, and so was Kanagawa High School. As for her figure, appearance, and clothes, it wasn't strange at all that she appeared in the school plot. It was such a female doctor. The above information came from Osamu Kanai, and after Toru Watanabe's confirmation, it could be said with certainty. It was real. Really big. "Miyuki." Aona Koizumi greeted. Miyuki, who was wearing a white coat, looked up. "Aonai, what's wrong?" "A student was helping me carry something, and his face was hit. Let me take a look at him first." Miyuki put down the things in her hands. "Thank you, Sensei Miyuki." Toru Watanabe smiled and thanked her. Miyuki was stunned for a moment, then she said to Aona Koizumi, "This is the kid that Huang Zi said has a very nice smile, likes Aonai, and wants to become a handsome guy in Tokyo?" "Liking Aonai is unnecessary. Children are unnecessary." The teacher and student spoke at the same time, and Miyuki's smile grew wider. "You're Watanabe, right?" "Yes." This time, Toru Watanabe didn't smile. "You like your Koizumi-sensei?" "Miyuki." Toru Watanabe said, "I like her the most." "Ha ha ha." Miyuki laughed happily, then remembered that there was still a student on the bed, so she quickly closed her mouth and softly asked Toru Watanabe to sit over. She checked Toru Watanabe's face. "Did you get into a fight?" Your injuries aren't light, Miyuki said in a tone that said she saw through everything. Toru Watanabe gave her a thumbs up, professional. Miyuki said to Aona Koizumi, I don't recommend handsome guys that are too playful, this kid probably already has several girlfriends. Yu and Huang Zi colluded together. Aona Koizumi had enough of her friends' teasing. Miyuki smiled in satisfaction, then turned to Toru Watanabe and said, You didn't hurt your teeth, eyes, and nose. Go back and apply some ice. Then change to a hot compress tomorrow. You'll be fine in a few days. Thank you, Sensei Miyuki. Koizumi-sensei, I'll go back to study first. If it hurts, I can help you ask for leave and go back early today. Aona Koizumi said. Toru Watanabe resolutely refused. No, my goal this time is to at least get second place in the school, I have to study hard. Other than his face, the other parts of his body hurt even more, but the more it hurt, the more Toru Watanabe had to persevere. Maybe one day, his body would hurt like this, and he would have to kill Miki Kujo's remaining subordinates. It was a rare opportunity to get used to this level of pain. The more Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe, the more she liked him. She came from a better background than Toru Watanabe, coming from a small town. Although there was no Starbucks, at least there were vending machines on the streets. Because of their similar backgrounds, she understood the hardships of Toru Watanabe, who came to Tokyo alone to study. Do your best, but don't tire yourself out. She softly encouraged him. Okay. Toru Watanabe left the infirmary and let out a long breath. In order to not let Aona Koizumi and Miyazaki Miyuki pay too much attention to his injuries, he tried his best to be funny and not let them think about checking other parts of his body. He looked at the lemon tea and cola in his hand and slowly walked step by step toward the club building. The trip to the infirmary not only made him walk a lot more, but also made the cola, which could have been iced, become room temperature. It was a big loss. The infirmary behind him was not closed, and he could vaguely hear Miyazaki Miyuki's laughter making fun of Aona Koizumi about Toru Watanabe. When he finally walked back to the Human Observation Department's activity classroom, Miki Kujo was actually there. There was a pile of manga around her, but she threw them aside after flipping through less than 2 pages. I'm back, Toru Watanabe said as he closed the door. No one paid him any attention. Toru Watanabe placed the lemon tea in front of Rin Kiyono, who was reading Natsume Soseki. Thank you. Rin Kiyono put down her book as if she had just noticed him. Where did you go just now? Toru Watanabe answered honestly, I had a fight with someone. Did you win or lose? Can you come back if you lose? Toru Watanabe said impatiently. I'm sorry. He immediately apologized. I shouldn't have used such a tone with you. You even helped me. It's okay. Rin Kiyono drank her lemon tea as she read. My heart is as broad as the Seto Inland Sea. Forgive your immaturity. Just as Toru Watanabe was looking at Rin Kiyono's chest that was as broad as the Kanto Plain and imagining her as broad as the Seto Inland Sea, Miki Kujo's voice came. You mean you can treat me like this? Why would I? He answered immediately. Forget it, forget it. Toru Watanabe would be great in the future. He couldn't afford to offend anyone now. He glanced at the luxurious refrigerator in the corner. Miss Kujo, can I use some of your ice cubes? You're my subordinate now. You're welcome. Subordinate? Weren't you interviewing for the bodyguard position just now? Miki Kujo put down the manga in her hand. Are you kidding me? How do you calculate the salary? They were enemies. Toru Watanabe didn't want to work for free. Miki Kujo didn't say anything. She just changed the position of her slender legs. Toru Watanabe didn't understand what she meant. She couldn't be using worn stockings as salary, right? What did she take him, Toru Watanabe, for? Stop looking down on me. But he didn't dare to confirm it, let alone say that he didn't like stockings. I admit that you're better now. Toru Watanabe vaguely glanced at Miki Kujo's long legs under her pleated skirt. He took some ice cubes from the refrigerator, wrapped them in the sleeve of his school uniform jacket, and gently pressed them to the side of his face that was punched. He opened the calculus exercise book and took out a 0.5 mm automatic pencil. Toru Watanabe looked at the two people who were reading literary classics and quickly flipping through manga. "Aren't you studying? That level of knowledge can't be understood before the teacher teaches, and it's even worse if the teacher teaches. That level of knowledge can't be learned naturally with age. Humans can be eliminated." Good, they were sulking, not provoking him. Because of the ice cubes, Toru Watanabe was very rational. "I've decided. I must get first place in this midterm exam." Toru Watanabe didn't pay attention to what was happening outside. He only focused on reading. Chapter 34. The next day, which was Tuesday, was also a good day. The sky was blue and clear, and the young leaves of the trees sparkled. During lunch break, Toru Watanabe, Osamu Kanai, and Keisuke Saito, who were enjoying their daily life, leaned against the corridor window and chatted while overlooking the atrium. Students eating lunch could be seen everywhere in the atrium. "Damn it!" Osamu Kanai looked at the couple under the tree, tore off a large piece of bread with his teeth, and chewed vigorously. Keisuke Saito mocked, "If you take Yamaguchi Naomi down, you don't have to be envious here." "How can that be? Am I someone who abandons my friends? Even if I have a girlfriend, I will still eat with you. How's your progress with Yamaguchi-san?" Toru Watanabe sucked on the straw of strawberry milk. Recently, he had been studying hard, causing his body to crave sweets. Cola was not nutritious, so he had to choose milk that only girls liked. Osamu Kanai looked at the distant sky. "I have someone I like." "Huh?" Keisuke Saito looked at Osamu Kanai in surprise. "Listen." Osamu Kanai closed his eyes. "Listen to what? Someone you like? Don't you like Yamaguchi Naomi? Or?" Toru Watanabe interrupted Keisuke Saito. "It's a cello." "A cello?" "There's the sound of a cello." Faintly, from the overhead corridor between the club building and the teaching building, the sound of a cello could be heard. Keisuke Saito tried to listen for a while, but he couldn't tell what instrument it was. "What's going on?" he asked. "It's Asako Hanada from the Blowing Club. She's practicing the Koshien support song, Shogun Shogun theme song." The music couldn't be heard clearly, but the intoxicated Osamu Kanai was very sure. "What about Yamaguchi Naomi?" Keisuke Saito asked. "Keisuke." Osamu Kanai grabbed Keisuke Saito's shoulder and looked him in the eye. "Love is blind. Love always comes like a hurricane, and I can't control myself." "Where did you read that line from?" Keisuke Saito slapped Osamu Kanai's hands in disgust. "I forgot." Toru Watanabe, who was on his side drinking water, replied. "Hojo-san with a favorability rating of 120% seems willing to do anything for me." As expected of Watanabe. "You have a good memory. I happened to read this light novel before, so I remember this line. Osamu, 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 Osamura, Osamu, Osamu, OSU, Osamu, OSU, OSU." "Excuse me, are you Toru Watanabe-san who placed third on the entrance exam and monthly quiz?" Toru Watanabe turned around and saw a boy and a girl looking at him. The girl was holding a notebook and pen, while the boy was carrying a video camera. "You are?" "Hello, I'm Hasegawa Yaka from the news department," the girl replied. "Nishikawa Yui." The boy also gave a simple self-introduction. After that, the girl asked again, "Excuse me, are you Toru Watanabe-san who placed third on the entrance exam and monthly quiz?" "My name is Toru Watanabe. I also placed third on the entrance exam and monthly quiz." "What business do you have with me?" "The news department is doing a special issue about the midterm exams, and we'd like to interview you about a few questions." Hasegawa Yaka didn't even ask for Toru Watanabe's permission before asking the first question. "What's the goal for this midterm exam?" Watanabe's goal is to place second in his grade. Osamu Kunai helped to answer. There's no such thing. Toru Watanabe hurriedly stopped him. This kind of talk was enough in private. If Rin Kiyono found out, he would be scolded again. Before you succeed in something, you have to remain calm and collected. I should have told you this already, right? It seems that your stupidity is beyond my imagination. He could already see the girl's contemptuous smile. Second in the grade. The girl named Hasegawa Yaka wrote these words in her notebook. Wait, my goal is to be in the top 10 of the school. That's my goal. Hasegawa Yaka acted as if she didn't hear him. According to our investigation, Watanabe-san graduated from the Mitsagawa branch. There are only 3 people in the entire junior high school. His studies are all self-study. What's Toru Watanabe's usual study method? His goal is to be in the top 10 of the school. What's his study method? Goal. What's his study method? As expected of someone from the news department, she was very aggressive. Doing questions, from morning to night. No need for a teacher, no need to go to private school, self-study. Hasegawa Yaka wrote it down. Hey, the previous words were superfluous. Can you have some professional integrity as a reporter? If this was reported, wouldn't he, Toru Watanabe, become an arrogant person? Handsome, smart, hardworking, low-key, and kind image would be destroyed. Last question, Hasegawa Yaka still turned a deaf ear. In the first grade, the number 1 Rin Kiyono and the number 2 Miki Kujo, their ranking and yours didn't change in the 2 exams. Now that you're in the same club, what do you think of them? Or do you want to say something? No. Toru Watanabe already knew that the so-called news department was just an unscrupulous media. He absolutely couldn't give them a chance to write nonsense. Nothing to say? Understood. Toru Watanabe looks down on. Wait. Toru Watanabe directly relied on his agility to grab Hasegawa Yaka's irresponsible right hand. Looking down on Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo? Are you kidding me? Do you want me to be killed by Rin Kiyono's small cherry mouth, or do you want Miki Kujo to trample me to death? Please let go of me, Watanabe-san. Freedom of the news must be defended. Hasegawa Yaka put on a fearless attitude. Toru Watanabe was speechless for a moment. He smiled and gently said, Hasegawa-san, I suddenly have something to say. Can you answer the last question again? Hasegawa Yaka looked at Toru Watanabe with infatuation, and didn't even think about it. Nishikawa Yui, who was carrying a camera, whispered, Director, the news pays attention to the truth, can't it be repeated? Shut up. Yes. Thank you. Toru Watanabe nodded to Hasegawa Yaka with a smile. It's okay. Hasegawa Yaka obediently shook her head, slightly blushing. Interview news must respect the will of the interviewee. You weren't like this, Director Hasegawa. Is it true that the news can be explained in any way? Toru Watanabe said seriously, I respect Kiyono-san and Kujo-san very much. They are beautiful, smart, hardworking, low-key, and kind. They are simply the representatives of Tokyo's beauties. They are the goal of my struggle, the beacon of progress, and the ideal of my life. Hey, Watanabe. Keisuke Saito couldn't believe it. You're not such a person. Osamu Kunai patted Toru Watanabe's shoulder, and a "you're the best" at flattery atmosphere came over. After getting close to him, your thoughts will be the same as mine. Toru Watanabe, who was not shy at all, affirmed without hesitation. He told Hasegawa Yaka, please be sure to put my words in. After sending off the people from the news department, Toru Watanabe and the others returned to the topic of Asako Hanada. Osamu Kunai saw the petite Asako Hanada carrying a cello when he came to the baseball field for rehearsals. He felt that this scene was very cute, and then he fell in love with her. It's that simple? Generally speaking, when you feel that the other person is very cute, you fall in love with them. In short, I care about her so much that I can't extricate myself. Every day, I pay attention to the sound of the cello. Then what about Yamaguchi Naomi? Keisuke Saito asked. Don't talk about it. When I chat with her, she keeps asking me about Watanabe. Watanabe, if you like her, you can easily get her. Toru Watanabe drank the strawberry milk in one gulp. I only like to study. Definitely. The eldest daughter of the Kiyono and Kujo families won't go back on her words, right? The Ministry of Arts. Toru Watanabe gritted his teeth. Amazing. Watanabe. Osamu Kunai enjoyed watching the drama unfold. You're the protagonist of a light novel. Keisuke Saito also laughed and said, so Koi and I are the protagonist's friends who are responsible for making jokes and providing information. Toru Watanabe ignored the two people who were adding insult to injury and carefully studied the rain-blocking glass on the bulletin board. It was locked up. He didn't know if he could destroy the school property with just a scolding because he was ranked third in school. Watanabe? You're the Toru Watanabe from the news, right? I'm not. There can't be a second boy as handsome as you. You're Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe couldn't refute this logic. Indeed, he had never seen another boy as handsome as him, at least not in Kanagawa High School or Shinjuku. Watanabe-san, is it true that academic results will determine everything? No, it's false. It's true. Oh. The students in front of the bulletin board broke into an uproar when they heard Seiji's cold and pleasant voice. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono, who was holding her backpack and walking over like a saintess. What are you doing? This is the Ministry of Art's revenge, he said. Are you implying that I should lie? Rin Kiyono flipped her long hair and looked at everyone. The Ministry of Human Observation will agree to any condition of the person who takes first place in the midterm exam. Toru Watanabe hurriedly walked over and tugged at her sleeve. No condition. This is the minister's order. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe's hand that was tugging at her sleeve and said with a smile, Watanabe-san, you're not afraid, are you? Maybe I should just leave the ministry, Toru Watanabe thought. Since I don't have to work anymore, it's fine to stay at school and participate in club activities. Just as Toru Watanabe was about to speak, Miki Kujo walked over. Her imposing manner was like that of a queen, and everyone subconsciously quieted down, except for Rin Kiyono, but she didn't want to talk to Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo looked at the bulletin board and asked Toru Watanabe, what's going on? Toru Watanabe told her about the unscrupulous media, the Ministry of Arts, and Rin Kiyono's words. Very interesting. Miki Kujo revealed a snake-like smile. I also agree. It's hopeless. These two women are hopeless. Kiyono-san, when I joined the ministry, you said that I could leave at any time, right? Toru Watanabe confirmed. Rin Kiyono said, Era, are you really afraid? What? Watanabe, you want to leave? Miki Kujo turned her head and asked. Yes. Miki Kujo coldly stared at him. I won't allow it. Whether you allow it or not, it's my right as the minister, Kujo-san. Rin Kiyono indifferently warned. The position of minister will be mine sooner or later, Kiyono-san. There's no need to be too reluctant to leave. Miki Kujo bluntly replied. I admire your pride and arrogance. I also admire your blind optimism. At this time, the two's posture, no, with Toru Watanabe sandwiched in the middle, was simply a real-life version of the photos in the news. The two glared at each other, but they couldn't do anything to each other, so they simultaneously looked at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono said mockingly, don't Tokyo handsome men have to have the confidence to accomplish anything? I won't allow you to leave the ministry, do you hear me? Miki Kujo ordered. What is life? Toru Watanabe really wanted to ask God this question. I know, I agree, any condition is fine. Rin Kiyono smiled with satisfaction, Miki Kujo smiled, as expected, and Toru Watanabe also forced a smile. Just as the Ministry of Literature and Art said, the three's appearance stood at the pinnacle of human beauty. When the three of them smiled at the same time, the others were enchanted. Anything, even dating? Yes. Rin Kiyono said. Marrying into your family, is that okay? Of course. Miki Kujo answered with the same smile that she used to give orders to kill Toru Watanabe several times. Kun Watanabe, if you get first place, can you only smile at me in the future? No problem. Chapter 36. By lunch break, the news had already spread. The three people from the Human Observation Department were called over by the consultant teacher, Aona Koizumi. This time, they didn't talk in the office, but in a meeting room specially used for talking. Normally, teachers and students would have one-on-one conversations here, and the topics would include life, learning, and their goals. Toru Watanabe guessed that Aona Koizumi purposely chose this place because she was afraid that he would say something like, "Teacher, I like you the most," in front of the other teachers. The three of them sat in a row, facing Aona Koizumi. Toru Watanabe was far away from the other two, almost sitting in the corner. Needless to say, he felt quite at ease. "Can you tell Sensei what's going on?" Koizumi asked. Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo didn't say anything, and the department head, Rin Kiyono, explained what happened in the morning. Aona Koizumi smiled bitterly and looked at Toru Watanabe. "Watanabe, didn't you tell me that the bet was about the position of the head of the Human Observation Department? How come it's about anything now?" "Koizumi-sensei, you should ask the Ministry of Information and Ministry of Arts about this." "Oh right, there's also the stubborn department head, Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo." Toru Watanabe shrugged as if it had nothing to do with him. Aona Koizumi looked at Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo. Rin Kiyono replied, "Don't worry sensei, we won't lose. They're just a bunch of mobs, I can send my subordinates to take care of them, not to mention me personally." Miki Kujo said as she crossed her legs, displaying her domineering aura. "Subordinates? She's not referring to me, is she?" Toru Watanabe guessed. "This is not a matter of losing or not." Aona Koizumi, who was having a headache, tried to persuade her patiently. "The school supports students competing in their studies, but the bet's anything goes is not allowed." "Agreed." Toru Watanabe immediately agreed. Rin Kiyono turned around and revealed a warm and gentle smile. "Watanabe-san, you're one of my members, so I'll protect you. After we get first place, I won't make things difficult for you." Toru Watanabe admitted that Rin Kiyono was very cute, just like no one could deny that he was handsome, but, "Who do you think I'm guarding against when I don't agree with anything?" he said crossly. Rin Kiyono rested her chin on her hand and exclaimed exaggeratedly, "I'm so nice to you, but you're actually on guard against me?" "Favor. I thank you." "You're welcome." Rin Kiyono smiled brightly. "Protecting the weak members is what I should do as the strong and the head of the department." Toru Watanabe had nothing to say, he had enough of Tokyo's mischievous girls. "Toru Bien." Miki Kujo glanced at him with a murderous look. "If you dare to flirt with this woman in front of me again, I'll kill you." "Flirt? Huh?" Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono crossed her arms and smiled without saying a word. "Hey, why don't you refute me? Don't you never lie?" Rin Kiyono still didn't say a word. "Damn it. This woman is too cunning." Toru Watanabe had no choice but to look at Aona Koizumi. "Sensei, you're a bystander, you should have seen it clearly, right?" Aona Koizumi was very angry. She reprimanded, "Watanabe, what did Sensei say to you? You must be faithful in your relationship. How can you do that to both of them at the same time?" You're still talking about the news department? I think there's something wrong with your thinking. You want to have a foot in both camps? Write me a 1,000-word reflection." "Sensei." Toru Watanabe stood up. "Department Head Kiyono, Miss Kujo, say something." Miki Kujo snorted with laughter. Rin Kiyono, who never lied, remained silent. You still want to quibble and lie to Sensei Watanabe, you disappoint me. 5,000 words. These two women. Just you wait. Toru Watanabe really set his goal as first place this time. Although he wasn't a fan of uniforms, he wanted these two women to wear bunny girl uniforms on Mondays, pink nurse uniforms on Tuesdays, maid uniforms on Wednesdays, police uniforms on Thursdays and sailor uniforms on Fridays. They couldn't be idle on Saturdays and Sundays. They had to wear Lolita and witch uniforms and take selfies for him. Wait, selfies in witch uniforms? Toru Watanabe crossed his fingers and placed them on his nose bridge. I, Watanabe, will take first place in the cohort. After leaving the meeting room, Toru Watanabe would be in a good mood if he didn't have a 5,000-word reflection. It had nothing to do with uniforms. It didn't matter. The main thing was that this was a rare opportunity for him to take revenge on these two women openly. Miki Kujo returned to the classroom. For the sake of subduing, no, for revenge, Toru Watanabe decided to study quietly in the club classroom. Rin Kiyono naturally went to the club classroom as well. That was where she always took her lunch break. Kiyono, who never lies, what you did just now was no different from lying, right? Toru Watanabe mocked as they walked. Did I lie? Rin Kiyono tilted her head and looked puzzled. Seeing Toru Watanabe's angry expression, she smiled happily and said, I just didn't feel like talking at that moment. You're too mean. As if she received a high compliment, Rin Kiyono nodded her head in satisfaction and said, Men love women who aren't mean. After playing hard to get, this is the fourth way to make you fall in love with me. What are the two in the middle? If he were to ask, he would definitely be mocked again. Toru Watanabe changed his words and said, I like girls who are gentle and considerate. If you want me to fall in love with you, please work hard in that direction. No, Watanabe-san, I want to twist your will and make you fall in love with me, who is neither gentle nor considerate. After saying this, Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe and asked with a smile, Am I bad enough? I admit that you're very charming, but I'm not the type to care about appearance. If your personality isn't good enough, then everything is meaningless. Don't be too confident in yourself, Watanabe-san. Loving someone without being influenced by their will is like a mental illness. It's not that you can do whatever you want, but that you have to do whatever it wants you to do. If that's the case, does that mean that one day, Kiyono-san, you will also fall in love with me uncontrollably? Rin Kiyono stopped walking and fell into deep thought as she rested her chin on her hand. Toru Watanabe also stopped and maliciously waited for her answer. You won't lie, right? Rin Kiyono's face turned cold and returned to the expression she had when they first met. Her long black hair swayed as she silently walked into the corridor of the club building. Hey, are you admitting it? Toru Watanabe laughed as he followed her. I don't want to talk right now. Then that's admitting it. Is your Mandarin bad? Or is there something wrong with your ears? I already said that I don't want to talk right now. Rin Kiyono quickened her pace. Falling in love with me isn't something to be ashamed of. I, Watanabe, am smart and never slack off. Every day I persevere in doing radio gymnastics and swimming. Recently, I've become proficient in spoken English. My next step is to learn Spanish. I'm an outstanding youth who is destined to be great in the future. In the middle of the corridor, Rin Kiyono stopped again and turned around to look at Toru Watanabe, who was still praising himself. I admit that it's possible that I'll uncontrollably fall in love with you in the future. After all, I'm an honest person and I won't deny anything in the future. However, as far as I'm concerned, only female apes with unevolved brains would fall in love with you. This sentence sounds familiar. Toru Watanabe, who had a good memory, tried to recall where he had heard it before. On the day that Miki Kujo joined the Human Observation Department, when he went to the teacher's office to report, Huang Zi, who was eating snacks, asked him whether he liked Kiyono or Kujo. At that time, he also thought the same. Only male apes with unevolved brains would fall in love with them. Kiyono-san, maybe we'll unexpectedly get along, Toru Watanabe said sincerely. Rin Kiyono glanced at him in disdain and turned around to leave. I take back what I said just now. Toru Watanabe didn't care whether she heard him or not. In short, the more he interacted with these two women, the more determined he was to win first place. Pour tea for me in your maid uniform. Cuff your hands in your police uniform. The hem of your nurse uniform must be short and the witch uniform must have a slit. As Toru Watanabe thought about how to take revenge on them, he deliberately slowed down his pace and walked slowly towards the club's classroom. There were many people going to the club building at noon. Some were there to study, while others were there because they had to study after school and were taking advantage of the time to do club activities. The people who came and went whispered to each other when they saw him. Toru Watanabe even heard rumors about him having a foot in 2 boats. He had no choice but to quicken his pace and catch up with Rin Kiyono. As the two of them walked side by side, the discussions around them became louder and louder. They weren't afraid that the two of them would hear them. Toru Watanabe didn't care about Rin Kiyono's disdainful glances from time to time. At this moment, the most important thing was for her to help him share the burden. Chapter 37. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono didn't return to the school building until the first class bell rang. The moment Toru Watanabe walked out of the club classroom, he couldn't help but exclaim how hot it was. The sun in late May was simply paving the way for the upcoming plum rain season, evaporating all the moisture on the ground into the clouds. In this kind of weather, if Kujo didn't install air conditioning in the club classroom, his butt would definitely sweat from sitting on the steel chair for too long. Toru Watanabe looked at the silent Rin Kiyono and deliberately said something to disgust the beautiful girl. I wonder if Tokyo has any sweat-proof underwear. Kiyono classmate, you're a local of Tokyo, do you know that? On the staircase landing, Rin Kiyono stopped and turned around to glare at Toru Watanabe. She sneered and said, I've decided. After the midterm exam, I want you to wear a skirt in the club classroom. I'll let Watanabe classmates see if you sweat. 3 steps down, Toru Watanabe revealed a provocative smile. Kiyono classmate, I'll let you wear an extremely vulgar maid outfit in the club classroom. I admire your ambition and courage. Rin Kiyono said with a gratified smile. Her attitude and expression were truly infuriating. But Toru Watanabe looked at her almost perfect figure, except for her flat chest. He imagined her blushing cheeks in a maid outfit. During this brief moment of distraction, Qing Yi Rin's slender white hand suddenly grabbed the collar of his shirt. From the look in your eyes and expression, I feel like I've been treated very wretchedly in your mind. You're too narcissistic. Toru Watanabe took the lead and overtook her. I'm thinking about the derivation of calculus formulas. Lies. Also, you can show such a vulgar expression when thinking about math problems. As expected of you, Watanabe classmate. You already know it's a lie, so why do you still want to continue? I just wanted to mock you. Kiyono is really honest. Thank you, but this is my basic character. There's no need to praise me. In the face of Rin Kiyono, even the great Toru Watanabe could only surrender. Toru Watanabe walked into the classroom with the Chinese teacher because they were delayed on the way. The teacher didn't say anything and even gave Toru Watanabe a friendly smile. This was the treatment given to the third-place student in the grade. Other than the human observation department, Watanabe was one of the upper echelons of Kanagawa High School. In a light novel, she would be the best of the best, and she would be the leader of her class. The above was just his self-perception. The purpose was to increase his self-confidence, so don't take it seriously. If it wasn't for his good looks, he would have been seen as a country bumpkin who only knew how to read books. Toru Watanabe walked back to his seat with lofty aspirations, as if he was patrolling his own territory. He took out his textbook and a 0.5 mm automatic pencil and began the lesson seriously. From that day onwards, the enthusiasm for studying in the first grade was unprecedentedly high. According to what Toru Watanabe heard from Osamu Kanai, even though the midterm exams were approaching, among the 9 members of the baseball club who were still training, one of the first-year members who was quite talented in baseball, also gave up on training and immersed himself in studying. Also, at noon and after school, the sound of the wind instrument practice quieted down, and a few girls temporarily stopped training. After all, Toru Watanabe was a handsome boy who most girls would be happy to sit on the back of a bicycle and go for a ride along the riverbank. Under such an atmosphere, the only ones in the first grade who were still leisurely passing their days were Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo. One continued to read literary classics, while the other continuously criticized the entertainment methods of young people. She didn't like any of the manga, light novels, or games in the classroom. After learning about the two girls from Toru Watanabe, the male student was angry and happy, and studied even harder. As for Toru Watanabe, among the girls who were interested in him, those who couldn't study had already given up. Only those who originally had good grades still persisted. Because he was already at the top of his grades, he was working too hard. Eating and reading English vocabulary was not worth mentioning. Toru Watanabe was working very hard, but he didn't spend a lot of time on the midterm exams. For example, when he was eating, the notebook in his hand was actually filled with 19 tenses and 6 pronouns in Spanish. "Watanabe, what do you want to do after you get first place?" Keisuke Saito asked him. "Do nothing." "Hey, why? You are obviously the boy who had the best chance to get first place, such a good opportunity." Osamu Kunai shouted in disbelief. "My goal is to become the Tokyo handsome boy. I will only do what I should do, and studying is what I should be doing right now." Osamu Kunai and Keisuke Saito couldn't understand his pursuit. They just muttered things like, "That's Rin Kiyono, Kujo's eldest daughter, only a fool would do nothing," and so on. Toru Watanabe was of course not a fool, but he had already developed the habit of doing things silently. He would never announce it until he succeeded. On Friday of this week, he handed in his 5,000 words of self-criticism. Aona Koizumi didn't say anything about the midterm exams. He didn't know if the school was happy to see this and wanted to use this morale to get first place in the 3 schools joint exam, or if they trusted the strength of Rin Kiyono, Miki Kujo, and Toru Watanabe and didn't interfere. After school, he continued to go to the activity classroom and stayed there until the setting sun dyed the entire room golden. Before leaving, he asked Rin Kiyono, "Do you have any recommended books for learning Spanish?" Rin Kiyono, who was reading after the spring equinox, thought for a moment and said, "Spanish Grammar and Vocabulary by Umbiuds." "Thank you." "You're welcome." Just like that, Toru Watanabe didn't care about his reputation and learned from his enemy. "That's why I'm so confident in my future." With such a mindset, Toru Watanabe didn't hesitate to ask Seino Rin anything he didn't understand. And Rin Kiyono was worthy of being a woman with an intelligence of 8. So far, there hadn't been a problem for her. She was completely beyond the level of genius or scholar. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo, who was bored to the point of falling asleep. This woman also had an intelligence of 8. He absolutely couldn't underestimate her. It was very likely that she had sent people to monitor him and his parents. He had to be 100% sure that he could make a move against the Kujo family. "Hey, Watanabe, I'm bored." Perhaps she felt Toru Watanabe's gaze. Miki Kujo, who was lying on the luxurious sofa, opened her eyes. "Miss Kujo, you've already tried all the entertainment methods that I can think of," Toru Watanabe said helplessly. Miki Kujo was silent for a moment. Suddenly, as if she thought of something interesting, she laughed and said, "Let's go on a date tomorrow." "I haven't tried it yet." "Maybe it will be very interesting." "A date. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I'll pick you up at your house." Toru Watanabe's expression changed. Miki Kujo laughed. "Look at your nervous expression. I didn't expect you to actually know radio gymnastics. You're so stupid." Toru Watanabe didn't want to talk about this. He changed the topic. "I have to study on the day off. I don't have time to play with you. Aren't we boyfriend and girlfriend? Isn't dating necessary?" Miki Kujo turned over and said while lying on the sofa. Toru Watanabe could see her white skin and collarbone at the collar of her shirt. But everything about this woman made him feel disgusted. "Didn't you already break up in the sports equipment room?" Toru Watanabe said. Speaking of this matter, Toru Watanabe thought of Yoshimi Tamamo. She was really a good woman, who did things for money. Until now, the system still hadn't notified him that the check-in was terminated. "Break up? I didn't say that," Miki Kujo said with a smile. "Whether or not you said it, I still have to study. You just heard that I've been busy learning Spanish recently." Toru Watanabe was very impatient. Miki Kujo's expression turned cold. "You think I'm discussing with you? Okay." Toru Watanabe took a breath and resisted the urge to kick her face. "That's right," Miki Kujo revealed a devilish smile. "If you can't make me happy on a date, I'll punish you by having another fight with Shizuru. This time, the location will be in the ring, and no weapons are allowed. How about it, Watanabe? I love you so much that I helped you restrict Shizuru's most powerful gun." "A date? Then I'll also go." Rin Kiyono, who was reading on the side, suddenly said. Miki Kujo said as if joking, "This is between us lovers, do you want to be the third party?" "Lovers?" Rin Kiyono smiled non-committally. "My recent research topic is to make Watanabe-san fall in love with me. For me, this is just a good opportunity to show jealousy." "How persistent are you?" Toru Watanabe was speechless. Rin Kiyono's love theory knowledge was one after another. How many movies or books did she watch? "Fall in love with you?" Miki Kujo laughed. "How is that possible? Watanabe likes me the most. Isn't that right, Watanabe?" Miki Kujo, who was lying on her stomach, gently patted the soft sofa with her stockinged feet. If Rin Kiyono wasn't here, Toru Watanabe could say anything, but now, there was only silence. Rin Kiyono laughed. "It seems that it's not like what you said, Watanabe-san still loves me more." "I don't love either of you," Toru Watanabe honestly said to the two beautiful girls who could attract any man. After listening, Rin Kiyono indifferently brushed her hair that fell on her chest, while Miki Kujo's cold eyes stared at Toru Watanabe for a long time. Then she suddenly showed a bright smile. "I'm looking forward to tomorrow's date." "I really just want to study," Toru Watanabe struggled to say. Unfortunately, no one would listen to him. Chapter 38. May 24th, Saturday. As usual, Toru Watanabe woke up at 6 o'clock. He lifted the dumbbells until 6:30 and went to the nearby park to listen to the Radio Association's music and do radio calisthenics. Nowadays, very few young people dared to do radio calisthenics. Just like Miki Kujo said, it was a very silly thing to do. In the park, Toru Watanabe's only companions were the old man and grandmother from the Showa era. Other than that, there was only a group of elementary school students in shorts. Because Toru Watanabe was a kind and handsome big brother, and his movements were quite standard, he unknowingly became their leader. The female teacher in charge of taking care of the elementary school students also prepared an attendance card for Toru Watanabe and stamped it with various animal seals. Jumping exercise, 1, 2, 3. You have a new email. After the radio calisthenics, Toru Watanabe waved goodbye to the children and opened the transparent light blue panel. Stamina, 3, 4. He clenched his fists. He didn't feel any sudden increase in strength, nor did he have the confidence to tear the sky apart with one punch or break the earth with one foot. However, compared to this spring, Toru Watanabe did feel that his fists were stronger. When he walked out of the park, he saw a tall green weed by the side of the road. After warming up, he subconsciously twisted his body and kicked at it. The weed snapped in half and was thrown high into the sky. It then fell in the yard of a house with the name, Murakami, written on it. My combat power has reached 7 points. Toru Watanabe nodded with satisfaction. Woof woof woof. A small dog barked in fear in the yard of the Takahira house. Perhaps it was hit by the weed. Then came the gentle voice of a woman comforting the dog. Toru Watanabe's expression didn't change as he calmly left the crime scene. As long as he didn't get caught, it wasn't illegal. This was what he learned from Miki Kujo. If I keep learning like this, it's hard to imagine how great I'll be in the future. Because Miki Kujo unilaterally announced the date, Toru Watanabe couldn't go to the library to read, so he stayed in the rented house and searched for date-related information. At 9 o'clock, he gave up. On the internet, there were either traditional, civilian dates or exaggerated TV dramas. No matter how she looked at it, the angry Miki Kujo couldn't find it interesting. Since there was no other way, he might as well not look for it. He thought that it wouldn't do to waste time like this. With 4 points of stamina, even without using the terrain and the shot put, he should be able to fight with Jing Lu. If he really couldn't, he could only waste his remaining points on stamina. After deciding to go for a civilian date, Toru Watanabe started reading Spanish grammar and vocabulary that he had bought from the bookstore yesterday after school. Just as he was engrossed in learning, the doorbell rang. Toru Watanabe instinctively thought that it was someone from NHK, so he pretended not to hear it. There was a strange law in Japan. As long as there was equipment at home that could receive NHK's signal, they had to pay NHK. But at the same time, this law did not provide for the corresponding punishment, so until now, those who no longer needed NHK's services were constantly harassed by the other party. The doorbell rang 3 times and then it was quiet. The phone on the table vibrated. Toru Watanabe glanced at it and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. He thought about it and picked it up. "Open the door. You have 3 seconds." Miki Kujo's command was transmitted to his ears through the radio. "I thought it was NHK. Beep beep beep." Toru Watanabe glanced at the screen of the phone that had hung up. It was 9:40. There was still 20 minutes until 10 o'clock. He got up and walked to the hallway, removed the chain, and opened the door. "Too slow." Miki Kujo, who was wearing a white dress, rudely reprimanded him as she walked in. Jing Lu silently followed behind her. "I'm reading," Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo glanced around the room and saw the dumbbell in the corner. She smiled disdainfully. She sat on the table that Toru Watanabe used to study and eat. There were no chairs in Toru Watanabe's room. Even the bed was temporarily made at night. "Take out the stockings I gave you. I want to inspect them," Miki Kujo said arrogantly with her legs crossed and arms crossed. Toru Watanabe didn't expect that she would actually inspect him, and it was a surprise attack. Fortunately, he usually kept them well. He took out 2 pairs of well-preserved black stockings from the cabinet and handed them to Miki Kujo. "They're intact," Toru Watanabe said. "You didn't use them." Miki Kujo's smile gradually turned cold. "I'm going to punish you." "Wait. How can a man like me use stockings? Aren't you proud?" "Ah." Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo's beautiful face and soft cherry lips. He wondered if he had misheard. Miki Kujo unconsciously shook her legs. "What should I punish you for? Stripping your feet? Stripping naked and doing radio gymnastics? Or—" Wait. Toru Watanabe came back to his senses. "Miss Kujo, you're an unattainable existence in my heart. How can I use your personal belongings to do that kind of thing? I didn't even think about it." Miki Kujo frowned slightly and thought about it. Then, she reluctantly admitted, "That makes sense. I'm indeed too superior." Toru Watanabe sighed in relief. Fortunately, there were no normal people in the human observation department other than him. They were all narcissists. "Right. I only dared to keep your stockings properly. How can I take them from... It was Toru Watanabe's first time saying this word in front of a girl. It was very difficult. "Forget it. I'll let you go this time. I'll check again next time." Miki Kujo stood up. "Let's go. Please wait a moment. I'll change my clothes." Miki Kujo sat back on the table. "I'll give you 30 seconds. If you exceed 1 second, I'll punish you." Toru Watanabe blinked and looked at Miki Kujo and the female robot Shirlu. Can I trouble you two to leave first? Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe's body with a smile and said without hesitation. No. Shirlu, who had been expressionless, looked at Toru Watanabe's embarrassed look and sneered. This. Toru Watanabe gave up. I'm not changing. Let's go. 30 seconds. I'm not changing. 29 seconds. Toru Watanabe really wanted to curse, but his body didn't allow it. Moreover, he didn't like to take off his clothes to do radio gymnastics, or anything else. So, he picked up his black shirt and casual pants and rushed into the narrow toilet. Ahaha, you're quite shy. Miki Kujo's mocking voice followed in. You're too thick-skinned. Toru Watanabe took off the t-shirt that was washed white and used as pajamas. Being thick-skinned is not a shortcoming. If you want to serve me, you still need to train. Listening to her voice, Miki Kujo seemed to be in a good mood. Toru Watanabe took off his shorts, threw them directly on the toilet, and began to put on his casual pants. Does society have such high standards for bodyguards nowadays? Of course. Otherwise, if a woman comes to assassinate me naked, all the bodyguards will close their eyes? That's because she's naked. Don't worry, when the time comes, I'll protect you without blinking. Toru Watanabe put on his shirt and walked out without even buttoning it up. Miki Kujo was holding the gym attendance card in her hand, studying which animals were on it. She looked up at Toru Watanabe's thin upper body. You're lucky. How could I let Miss Kujo wait for so long? You think I didn't count the time? Toru Watanabe cursed in his heart while buttoning his shirt. Miki Kujo put down the attendance card and stood up a little bored. Let's go. Chapter 39. The limousine was parked downstairs, attracting the attention of the people around. Toru Watanabe got in with familiarity. The car started slowly, and Miki Kujo asked Toru Watanabe where they were going. Shinagawa Aquarium, he replied. Aquarium? Is that kind of place interesting? Have you been there? Just the name sounds boring. Miki Kujo leaned on the center armrest, her right hand on the side of her white and delicate face. If you haven't been there, it's okay to go once, right? Isn't it said that people have to experience everything once in their lives? If it's not fun, you have to be responsible. After that, Miki Kujo closed her eyes. She didn't speak, and the car immediately fell into silence. Toru Watanabe turned his face to look at the robot, Static Flow, who was staring at him motionlessly. Toru Watanabe smiled kindly. Static Flow was slightly stunned, then frowned and glared at him. Her hand was behind her back, where she took out the pistol last time. Toru Watanabe raised his eyebrows again. He was completely a frivolous young man with a cheeky smile, but Shizuru was already focused and would not fall for his beauty trap. He was a little bored, so he had to look at Miki Kujo, who was resting with her eyes closed. This woman seemed to like to sleep. She must have secretly studied until late at night, Toru Watanabe speculated maliciously in his heart. The group first drove to Shibuya's Omotesando, where Rin Kiyono had agreed to meet. The car stopped in front of Meiji Shrine. At the entrance of Omotesando, a cold and beautiful girl stood there. Wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a high-waisted long skirt, she was different from the school uniform, but she still stood out. Not to mention her beautiful face, slender waist, long and well-proportioned legs. Just the way she stood showed that she had a different style from other girls. The weather was hot at the end of May, but she was completely focused. She didn't use her hand to fan herself or feel impatient. Her long black hair looked gorgeous in the sun. She exuded the aura of a saintess. It even made people wonder if the temperature around her was always comfortable. After Rin Kiyono got into the car, she sandwiched Toru Watanabe between her and Jing Lu. Fortunately, the car was very spacious, and the three of them were very slim, so it was not crowded at all. Shirlu slightly bowed to Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono softly said good morning, and then she greeted Toru Watanabe. Good morning, Watanabe. It's noon. Kiyono classmate. Toru Watanabe glanced at the shopping bag in her hand. It should be the summer clothes she bought at Omotesento. Rin Kiyono lifted her long hair that was slightly scattered when she got into the car and said with a smile, "It is indeed noon." Toru Watanabe was slightly stunned. Surprisingly, the other party didn't quarrel with him. "You're beautiful today, Kiyono-san." Bang. Toru Watanabe grabbed Miki Kujo's right leg that was about to kick his crotch. He looked over. Miki Kujo was still in a reclining position, looking at him with a cold and cruel smile. "Miss Kujo, what are you doing?" "I was just being polite." Toru Watanabe put down Miki Kujo's leg. Rin Kiyono teased, "Watanabe classmate doesn't understand a woman's heart. This is jealousy. It has nothing to do with being polite or not." She crossed her arms and added, "I'm guessing that you didn't praise her today. You only praised me, right? So that's how it is. I learned it. Miss Kujo, you're also very beautiful today." "Throw him out," Miki Kujo ordered with a sullen face. Shizuru couldn't wait to take out her pistol, pointed it at Toru Watanabe, and opened the door at the same time. The car just passed Shibuya Station. Through the open door, Toru Watanabe saw the loyal dog Hachiko flash by at an extremely fast speed. Wait. Toru Watanabe's face turned pale. If he fell, his body would roll several times on the ground, wouldn't it? Then he would become a pile of unrecognizable meat paste. The wind blew in from outside the car. Rin Kiyono's long hair fluttered in the wind. She calmly said, "Article 199 of the criminal law, homicide can be sentenced to death. Watanabe classmate, don't worry. The law will avenge you, and Kiyono's family won't let go of this opportunity. Compared to revenge after the incident, I want to live well now." Shizuru was unmoved. She pointed the gun at Toru Watanabe's temple and pulled him to the door with one hand. Just when Toru Watanabe's face felt the summer wind from the south outside the car door, he was ready to resist with his points and physical strength. Miki Kujo's voice came. "Forget it." Her tone was understated, as if she had just asked the boss of Tsukiji Market to kill a live fish. Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief and broke free from Shizuru's hand. At the same time, the door was closed. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe, whose hair was blown into a mess. She smiled and said, "Watanabe, be careful with what you say. There won't be a next time." This woman was simply crazy. At that time, he was out of his mind to participate in the last-minute activities to save her. The car fell into silence again. Before arriving at Shinagawa Aquarium, Toru Watanabe, who had learned to be obedient, had been silently playing with his phone. In fact, if the two people next to him didn't have enough public morals, they could see the content on the phone screen just by looking at it. Line group chat. "Osamu Kanai. The morning study is over. Come out to eat together?" Keisuke Saito. "The cram school class still has 10 minutes. I'm fine with it." Keisuke Saito. "What about Watanabe?" Toru Watanabe. "No. Osamu Kanai. You also need to eat while studying, right? We only spent 2 hours eating." Keisuke Saito. "Well, I also have classes in the afternoon. I can't play all the time." Toru Watanabe. "It's not that I don't want to. I can't leave now." Osamu Kanai. Keisuke Saito. "Back home?" Toru Watanabe. "Being a tool for the two ladies, Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo." Osamu Kanai. "Kill yourself." Keisuke Saito. "No wonder. I'm jealous." Toru Watanabe. "Jealous, Toru Watanabe. Just now, out of politeness, I praised Rin Kiyono, who was in casual clothes, and didn't praise Miki Kujo. I almost got killed." Toru Watanabe. "That's my current situation. Are you still jealous?" There was a long silence. Toru Watanabe. "If you sympathize with me, buy me a drink next Monday." After 3 seconds. Keisuke Saito. "I always feel that you're living a fulfilling life." Osamu Kanai. Cancel the lunch party. I want to continue studying. Only by studying well can you live a fulfilling life. Toru Watanabe. No, it's mainly about the face. I need to be handsome. Toru Watanabe looked up. Rin Kiyono, who had just snickered, had turned her face to look out the window. He glared at the back of the head of this guy who had no public manners. The car arrived at Shinagawa Station, and the aquarium was right in front of them. The four of them switched to walking and arrived in less than 2 minutes. Rin Kiyono didn't put the shopping bags in the car. Instead, she carried them with her. There were a lot of people on Saturday. As the only male, Toru Watanabe spread his hands. I'll help you buy the tickets. 2,300 yen per person. Rin Kiyono took out a light pink wallet from a high-end, fashionable round white bag. She also took out 2,000 yen notes and 300 yen coins from the wallet and handed them to him. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo, and Shizuka handed over a card. He took the money and the card and bought 4 tickets on behalf of the group and distributed them to each person. As they walked through the entrance, Toru Watanabe said, "Let's go to the Coral Coffee Bar to buy drinks. We can drink while walking." They entered the aquarium. The blue and white lights in the aquarium made the walls and ceiling the color of the deep sea. Rin Kiyono looked at the information on the tickets in her hand and whispered to herself, "Dolphin show?" Toru Watanabe saw her slightly flickering eyes and didn't speak. He didn't have anything in particular he wanted to see. Originally, he was a gentleman. It was okay to take the initiative to propose to see it, but Tokyo handsome men never fell in the same place. Miki Kujo had to compare everything with Rin Kiyono. As the only male around them, he passively acted as the referee. Just now, his teasing praise almost caused a murder. Now, it was better to be wise and protect himself. Dolphin? Kiyono's family also has a headache with an air like you. Lead the way. I want to see the sharks. The last sentence Miki Kujo said to Toru Watanabe. Buy drinks first. Toru Watanabe insisted. Miki Kujo glanced at him. You decide, but I want to remind you that if I'm not satisfied with the final result, you know what will happen. Toru Watanabe was prepared for her dissatisfaction, so he simply followed his own preferences. After buying the drinks, he didn't go to see the sharks. Instead, he walked into a dark room. There were many large cylindrical tanks, very much like the incubator used in human experiments in movies. Dandelion-like jellyfish swayed in them. The transparent bodies of the jellyfish turned into various colors because of the different lights. Such a scene made countless tourists stop. Even Rin Kiyono couldn't help but take out her mobile phone to take pictures. Miki Kujo stood in front of the blue tank and looked at it with interest. Sorry. The sound of the apology was very close. Toru Watanabe, who was observing the floating jellyfish and trying to learn something from it, looked over. The room was dark. A couple who were taking pictures seemed to have accidentally bumped into Miki Kujo. The woman smiled and apologized to her, then immediately urged her boyfriend to press the shutter. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo. Under the changing lights, her face was quite gloomy. Then she suddenly laughed. In a dark corner, Toru Watanabe saw a few men in casual clothes walking over slowly. It seemed that they were also here to admire the blue jellyfish. But Toru Watanabe saw something like a needle reflecting the light on their sleeves. His face changed. He didn't expect that Miki Kujo would want to kill someone just because of an accidental bump. Toru Watanabe walked over with a drink in one hand. He stood in front of Miki Kujo and said to the woman, "Hey, is it over with an apology?" The boyfriend put down his camera and walked over quickly. "What's wrong?" he asked his girlfriend. The woman said, "I accidentally bumped into her with my shoulder. I've already apologized." The man turned to Toru Watanabe and said, "You've already apologized. What else do you want?" Toru Watanabe looked around and saw that the men were still looking at them. He sighed silently in his heart. "Brother, I'm trying to save you. Don't blame me. What's wrong? You guys don't deserve to touch my woman's body." He was very disgusted with Miki Kujo, so he pretended to be disgusted. What do you mean? No man could tolerate his girlfriend being insulted in front of his face. Toru Watanabe didn't like to scold people. Besides, scolding people wouldn't be enough to appease Miss Kujo's murderous intent, so he directly attacked. The fast punch directly hit the man's face. Blood came out of his nose. The man was dizzy. When he came back to his senses, he yelled out a classic Japanese curse. Then, Toru Watanabe punched him in the stomach. This guy probably didn't have much stamina, so he immediately curled up like a prawn. Ah! A woman screamed. Soon, the crowd was in chaos. What are you doing? The woman who accidentally bumped into Miki Kujo shouted. Toru Watanabe slapped the woman's boyfriend and said, "Stop screaming. I'm sorry. But as a man, please suffer for your girlfriend." He apologized to the man in his heart. Security. Security. Another slap. Stop screaming. Police. I want to call the police. Call the police. Toru Watanabe didn't say another word. He slapped the man's face again. This time he used some technique. The man's mouth started to bleed. Otherwise, with this woman's craziness, Toru Watanabe was afraid that this brother's face would be swollen. Seeing the blood, the woman stopped screaming. She just stared at Toru Watanabe in fear and anger, waiting for the security to come. After a while, the nearest security guard of the aquarium squeezed through the crowd and came over. The woman immediately shouted, "Arrest them. I want to call the police." They. Before she could finish, Toru Watanabe slapped her boyfriend again. "Customer. Please stop. We will take care of everything." The security guard said sternly, "Arrest them. I want to call the police. I want to." The woman's voice traveled far in the dark and quiet aquarium. Toru Watanabe looked back. Miki Kujo looked at him with a smile. He read her expression. She was still angry. This also meant that the noisy woman's life was still in danger. He walked over and the security guard reached out to stop him. Toru Watanabe felt that it was inconvenient to use one hand, so he turned around and kneed the security guard in the stomach. The security guard immediately held his stomach and knelt on the ground. The other two security guards rushed over and were also taken down by Toru Watanabe. He apologized silently in his heart again. He walked in front of the couple and slapped the man again. The woman looked at him in horror. The man's expression was complicated, like anger, like fear, but also very innocent. "You're disturbing the jellyfish," Toru Watanabe said weakly. Pfft. Miki Kujo's laughter came over. Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief and said to the couple in a happy tone, "Next time you dare to touch my woman, I'll beat you up every time I see you." After that, Toru Watanabe turned and walked back. He asked Miki Kujo, "Are you okay? Tell me if you have something to say. I'll beat them up again to vent your anger." "Forget it." Miki Kujo waved her hand. "I'm in a good mood. I'll let her go." The four of them left the jellyfish area. No staff came to stop them along the way. Toru Watanabe drank the drink in his hand and deliberately said carelessly, "Is my temper too bad? I just touched her and she was beaten up like this? This is nothing." Miki Kujo didn't seem to understand what he meant. She said indifferently, "She's the second person who can survive after touching my body. She got lucky." "How many people did she kill?" Toru Watanabe felt that the dark blue lights around them were gloomy. Miki Kujo saw through his thoughts and said with a smile, "Don't worry, it's not as much as you think. Normal people can't touch me at all. Of course, there are a lot of them." Toru Watanabe smiled awkwardly. "Let's go see the sharks." The sharks were in a huge aquarium, and there were many other kinds of fish in it. To visit, they had to walk down a spiral ramp to the bottom of the huge aquarium. Halfway there, Jingliu's phone suddenly rang. Miki Kujo frowned slightly. It took Jinglu 2 seconds to answer the phone. She whispered a few words to Miki Kujo. "A bunch of useless things. You can't do anything without me. Miki Kujo turned and walked out of the stadium. Jinglu immediately followed. As they left, the crowd on the ramp immediately cleared. These men and women were all Miki Kujo's subordinates. Only Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono were left on the ramp. Toru Watanabe said, "Are we going to see the sharks or the dolphin show?" Rin Kiyono, who had been expressionless since just now, replied, "The dolphin show is still 20 minutes away." So the two of them walked down the ramp without saying a word and came to the bottom of the huge aquarium. There was a 20-meter-long, undersea tunnel. Countless schools of fish danced above and around them. They swam quickly one moment and suddenly stopped moving the next. Every time they turned, their scales would reflect a colorful brilliance, like a kaleidoscope. "Aren't you curious?" Toru Watanabe's eyes fell on the notice board. On it was written the information of all the fish in the tank, such as anchovies, sharks, bream, and other fish. "Although I don't know why, you should be doing it for their own good." Rin Kiyono stared at the about 8,000 spotted anchovies. "You're a good person. I can see that." It wasn't a good thing, but Toru Watanabe still said thank you. He said again, "Most people would be curious, right? For example, the medicine mentioned last time, what's new in the imperial tea, and so on. Kiyono's family has a headache having an heir like you. You didn't ask, did you? I'm waiting for the day you fall in love with me and tell me." When Toru Watanabe finished speaking, Rin Kiyono giggled. Toru Watanabe wasn't joking. He wasn't interested in her matters. To be precise, this sentence was even provocative. But in the end, he also laughed. Rin Kiyono's pure smile was rare. Her previous smiles were either provocative or smug. They were always deliberate. "I'm also waiting for the day you fall in love with me and tell me," she responded with a smile. Toru Watanabe looked at the other side of the tank. The shark opened its bloody mouth at him. His expression didn't change, but he was actually a little afraid. Then let's see who's the uncivilized ape man. Chapter 40. Yoshimi Tamamo's mood had been very irritable recently. Firstly, it was because the club activities had stopped and she was forced to study all day long. Secondly, Toru Watanabe had been ignoring her. The last message on their line was about the treat. On Tuesday, the news department reported that he was pursuing Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo at the same time. The representative of Tokyo's beauties? He had no interest in other human females? She still remembered that after school, Toru Watanabe had confessed to her shyly but firmly in the family restaurant. He was obviously a poor boy from the countryside, but he took out 150,000 yen to let her be his girlfriend for a month, and even patiently tutored her in her makeup exams. Yoshimi Tamamo thought that he liked her a lot, but when this country bumpkin saw Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo, who were only slightly prettier than her, he forgot about her in the blink of an eye. She put down her dignity as a beautiful girl and promised not to say a word to him after the 1 month. After the 1 week of compulsory study ended, she immediately asked her junior high school friends to come out on Saturday to relax. "So beautiful, this is my boyfriend." Why didn't I hear you mention it? When did this happen? Actually, we just got together. Oh right, this is my good friend Yoshimi Tamamo, she is a student of Kanagawa High School. So beautiful, this is my boyfriend Kodo Itsuki. Nice to meet you, I didn't expect Kiji-chan's friend to be so good-looking. Hello. Yoshimi Tamamo replied indifferently. The person called Kodo Itsuki looked ordinary to her, but he was tall and dressed according to the magazine, so he looked like a decent person. But the other party saw that she was pretty, and his obscure gaze made her feel disgusted. If it was before, although Yoshimi Tamamo didn't like this kind of person, she would still be happy. After all, it proved that she was pretty. But now, when she saw this kind of person, she thought of Toru Watanabe, and then she would be inexplicably angry and want to scold him on the spot. However, the other party was her friend's boyfriend, so she tried not to show too much coldness and remained polite. Her friend, on the other hand, was quite happy with Yoshimi Tamamo's attitude. As a girl, She was inevitably worried that her beautiful best friend would meet her boyfriend. Let's go, I want to see Penguin before the dolphin show in the morning. Alright, let's go. The three of them set off for Shinchuan Aquarium, laughing and joking. Let me tell you, Kamigawa is really super strict. I really shouldn't have gone to that school. Really? Even club activities are prohibited? Isn't that illegal? I really want to report this to the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Ha ha ha. After buying the tickets at the aquarium and watching penguins, there was still some time before the dolphin show. They were ready to go to the undersea tunnel. It's so beautiful. Help me and Ishu take a picture later. No problem. But if I knew you would bring your boyfriend here, I wouldn't have come. Couples are so disgusting. Wretch, ha ha ha, what are you doing? If you're so beautiful, wouldn't you have as many boyfriends as you want? So beautiful? So beautiful, what are you looking at? Yoshimi Tamamo looked at the couple in front of the huge water tank in the undersea tunnel with a sullen face. The man's hair was messy as if he was riding a motorcycle without a helmet. He wore a simple black shirt and casual pants. Even so, he was still so handsome that people couldn't ignore him. Even because he was so handsome, people thought that his messy hairstyle was a new style in the beauty shop. Beside the man, there was a super beautiful girl who attracted everyone's attention. People around her were also peeking at her with, "This girl is so cute." This couple, who were more good-looking than the male and female protagonists in the TV series, were chatting happily. The girl's smile made Kiko's boyfriend dumbfounded. Kiko followed Yoshimi Tamamo's gaze and looked at the man's face a few times. This was a young man who was very popular with women. She turned back and asked Yoshimi Tamamo again, "What's wrong, so beautiful? Do you know her?" He didn't send a message or say a word. She took the initiative to invite him to dinner and was rejected. Then, he went on a date with another woman before the exam. The beautiful girl's self-esteem was completely shattered. Yoshimi Tamamo smiled again, but the happy smile just now was gone. It was replaced by a faint smile, which looked very scary at first glance. "Yes, I know her." With that, she walked up to him. "Toru Watanabe, you made me unhappy, so I won't make you happy. Then let's see who's the uncivilized ape man." After Toru Watanabe said this, he vaguely heard someone calling him. Just when he suspected that he had heard wrongly, a clearer voice came. "Xiao Che." He knew who it was without looking. Not to mention the voice, only Yoshimi Tamamo in the entire eastern Kyoto called him Xiao Che. Toru Watanabe turned back and saw a beautiful girl with a graceful figure leaning over and holding his hand naturally. "Hey, what are you doing? It's too soft." "No, it's too messy." Toru Watanabe wanted to pull his hand out from between the peaks, but Yoshimi Tamamo, who has 6 stamina, hugged him tightly. Toru Watanabe, who has 4 stamina, can't do anything. Also, his hand was moving back and forth, and it felt very uncomfortable. Yoshimi Tamamo pouted and said unhappily, "Xiao Che, why didn't you call me when you came out to play? You let go first." "Oh yes, Xiao Che, this is my friend, Ikeda Nariko, and her boyfriend." "Nariko, this is my boyfriend, Toru Watanabe. He is the 3rd best student in Kanagawa High School. He is very powerful. He also tutored me when I got an A in my makeup exam." Ikeda Nariko introduced herself. "Nice to meet you, I am Ikeda Nariko. I am Komiai's junior high school classmate." "Hello, I am Toru Watanabe." Toru Watanabe replied. "Hello, I am Little Beard Itsuki, and this is?" Little Beard Itsuki asked Rin Kiyono. Ikeda Nariko's expression was not very good, and her gaze towards Rin Kiyono was filled with hostility. Rin Kiyono did not look at the three of them, and pretended to be a stranger, staring at the water tank. The broad-striped shark that was patrolling its territory aggressively was showing its teeth. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Toru Watanabe extended his free hand and introduced the two of them. "This is Seigo Rin, and she's, he could not find the right adjective. Enemy? Classmate? Club member? Acquaintance? Friend? Rin Kiyono turned around and said in a very dignified manner, "Nice to meet you, I am Rin Kiyono, the pursuer of this man who is full of lies, and I am being pursued by him." Ah. Toru Watanabe was puzzled by the last sentence. Ha. Yoshimi Tamamo's voice was very loud. After Rin Kiyono finished speaking, she put the hand that was not holding the bag to her lips, and thought, "That's not accurate, actually, we are having a competition to see who will be the first to fall in love with the other." "What kind of love game is this?" Little Beard Itsuki said in a tone that was trying to stir up the atmosphere. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to him. Ikeda Noriko looked at Yoshimi Tamamo, who was tightly hugging Toru Watanabe's arm, and put on a look that said, "If we have a falling out, I will help you immediately." Yoshimi Tamamo's charming watery eyes were filled with anger, and she stared at Toru Watanabe's face without letting go. "Xiao-che, what is this woman talking about?" she questioned. The surrounding people all looked over, gloating over the scene of catching adulterers in the act. There was a very beautiful girl beside him just now, and he even got into a fight because of her. Someone in the crowd reported. Toru Watanabe glared at the single man, and Rin Kiyono showed a shallow smile. Toru Watanabe, the Tokyo handsome guy, who was smart and never slacked off, seemed to be quite hated by people. "Watanabe." Yoshimi Tamamo said the frivolous man's name word by word. She was really angry. She despised Toru Watanabe for being poor, came from the countryside where the bus only took 2 hours, and never thought about falling in love, but as his de facto girlfriend, she knew that she was only one of his spare tires. Not to mention a beautiful girl, even the most basic dignity of a woman did not allow her to be calm. "Toru Watanabe-san, so you have a girlfriend." Rin Kiyono held back her laughter, and her face was serious and cold. "If you want me to fall in love with you, being single is the most basic right? Please break up with them immediately." "You..." Toru Watanabe's heart collapsed. What kind of development is this? My girlfriend's tragic shuraba with the club head and the young miss of a consortium? Encountering a shuraba among 4 people who don't love each other. Is there something wrong? About how I spent money to find a girlfriend, but was caught in the act. But at the same time, Toru Watanabe was somewhat relieved. Fortunately, Miki Kujo was busy with work and left, otherwise, he was sure that he would be thrown into a tank with sharks. Chapter 41. The Dolphin Show is about to begin. Toru Watanabe looked at the school of fishes above his head. "You're amazing." Rin Kiyono also looked above her head and laughed sarcastically. "You can tell the time by looking at the seawater." "Actually, I've done research on seawater and the sun. I'm quite good at knowing the time by looking at the seawater." "You're lying." "I'm not." "You're lying again." Watanabe. Yoshimi Tamamo puffed up her cheeks in dissatisfaction. Her face was very close to his. Toru Watanabe felt a sweetness unique to young girls crawling into his nose. "What's wrong?" Toru Watanabe couldn't pull his arm away. He could only lean his head back and try to put some distance between them. He didn't like girls like Yoshimi Tamamo, whether it was because they were materialistic or because they casually hugged boys they didn't like. However, life was like this. Sometimes, even if he hated them, he had to endure it. Everything was for the monthly check-in reward. Yoshimi Tamamo pouted seductively. "Who do you think is better, me or this woman?" "Who's better?" Rin Kiyono was sharp-tongued and had a bad personality, but she was honest. Yoshimi Tamamo was casual and materialistic, but she unexpectedly kept her promise after taking the money. Toru Watanabe thought about it. "You two have about the same position in my heart." He didn't hate or like her very much. But there was no need to say that out loud. The ladies in the underwater tunnel looked at Toru Watanabe differently. They felt like they were saying, "He's indeed a scumbag." The men were envious to the point of annoyance. "Is it true that handsome people get preferential treatment?" "Is that so?" Rin Kiyono suddenly reacted and said, I'm actually the same as Tamamo in your heart. Although your outlook on life, values, and aesthetics are bad, your vision is narrow, your lack of knowledge, and your lack of experience, I still have to reflect on myself. As she spoke, she lowered her head and thought about it. You said that I have poor aesthetic standards, narrow vision, and lack of knowledge. I can accept that. But my outlook on life, values, and knowledge are absolutely unacceptable. Oh. Rin Kiyono was surprised by Toru Watanabe's objection. I've already said my outlook on life and values. As a Tokyo handsome guy, I admit that I still have some shortcomings, but I've been working hard. Also, I'm lacking in knowledge. I can speak Chinese, I was born with it, English, and recently, I've been learning Spanish. Let's not talk about the handsome men from Tokyo for now. The United Nations has a total of 6 official languages, namely English, French, Russian, Chinese, Arabic, and Spanish. You only know Chinese, English, and a little Spanish. As for me, other than these 6 languages, I also know German. Qing Yi Rin, who had 3 points of stamina, let out a sigh of relief and concluded in a gentle and friendly manner, Student Watanabe, you must bravely admit your shortcomings. How confident was Toru Watanabe in his own brain? How hard did he usually study? How could he allow someone to insult him on this? He refuted, Student Kiyono, with all due respect, language is just like that. As long as you find a pattern, you can learn as many languages as you want. Rin Kiyono flipped her long hair, correct, but I know 7 languages. It's also not wrong to say that you lack knowledge. Oh. Toru Watanabe sneered, other than languages, I also know a variety of knowledge. I've read many biographies of great people. I've also studied biology, chemistry, astronomy, and marine life. The others were stunned. Many of them looked at him with a, how can a mere scum be so knowledgeable? Look. Qing Yi Lin was the only one who laughed as if she had heard something funny. She said, biology? Textbook knowledge? Astronomy? Did you find the location of the Big Dipper while walking at night? Marine life. Do you mean now? Damn it, she saw through everything. But how strong was Toru Watanabe's will? How could a teenager who woke up at 6 in the morning to do radio gymnastics easily admit defeat? You really dare to say that? He calmly pointed to the water tank on the side. This is the red striped tetra, the one in the sand is the garden eel, the one in the school is the spotted sharknado, the one with the big body is the stingray, this is the bream, the shark showing its teeth is the broad-striped tiger shark. Amazing! Yoshimi Tamamo couldn't help but exclaim softly. Toru Watanabe raised his head slightly and looked down at Rin Kiyono. Just as everyone looked at him with admiration, Rin Kiyono burst out laughing. She covered her mouth with her hand, sorry, because it's too funny. After adjusting her breathing, she said with a mocking smile, Student Watanabe, reciting the contents of the aquarium's bulletin board doesn't count as studying marine life. Or is your so-called research so superficial? He was seen through again. How could this woman named Rin Kiyono be so terrifying? Could it be that in addition to seeing through lies, she was also hiding the ability to read minds? This was a skill that even he, as a player, envied. When Tetsumesa Watanabe had nothing to say, the aquarium's broadcast saved him. Notice, a dolphin show will be performed on the second floor's outdoor stage. All guests are invited to come and enjoy. You see, Toru Watanabe's brain reacted very quickly, and he immediately said righteously, I already said that I can tell the time by looking at the water. Isn't it about to start? Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly. Student Watanabe, I can't help but admit that you are a very outstanding human being. If you can't lie, even if your outlook on life, values, and aesthetics are bad, narrow vision, lack of knowledge, and lack of experience, I will still have a very good impression of you. Thank you for your twisted affirmation, but my talent is not limited to that. I only took a few art classes and I got a B grade. This was the truth. That ape-man portrait that got a B because it was too funny? Teacher, art teacher, what are you doing? You actually showed it to other classes? This is a student's privacy. Do you know Picasso? Heh. I'm still third in the grade. Who do you think you are talking to? Rin Kiyono put her hand on her chest and said proudly. Student Kiyono, I am a person with a delicate mind. I advise you to be more tactful with your words. Toru Watanabe stared fiercely at her chest that did not even have one. Ah, if I hurt your immature and young heart, I apologize. You should just shut up. Being a window doll that can't move is cuter than you who can talk. Toru Watanabe did not say this personal attack out loud. Even if she was being sarcastic, he would never attack her personally. Toru Watanabe, who had nothing to say, looked at his own reflection in the aquarium and felt very proud of himself. Finding something to comfort himself with, Toru Watanabe, who was in a good mood, changed the topic. The dolphin show is about to start, let's go. That's right, let's go. Rin Kiyono also acted as if she was just fooling around. She did not continue to pursue the victory or show off her point of view. She was proud that her point of view was correct. At this time, the others came back to their senses, and the way they looked at the two changed completely. Knowing 3 languages was considered lacking knowledge? No matter what method was used, being able to distinguish most of the fish in the aquarium was considered lacking knowledge? The third in the grade did not deserve to speak? Was the other person second or first? Why did these 2 people come to the aquarium? Wouldn't the research institute, museum, or library be more suitable for them? Toru Watanabe said to Yoshimi Tamamo, who was still hugging him, I want to see the dolphins, please let go of me. Yoshimi Tamamo came back to her senses and hugged Toru Watanabe even harder. We are going too. Time had passed since Toru Watanabe achieved a stage of failure. Afraid that it would be too late, the 5 of them immediately left the undersea tunnel together and followed the signs to the 2nd floor. Rin Kiyono walked in the front. She usually had the dignified temperament of a rich young lady, but at this time, she walked with light steps, like a lively anime heroine stepping on cherry blossoms in spring. Behind her were 2 pairs of couples. Yoshimi Tamamo hooked her arm around Toru Watanabe's arm, and Ikeda Kiko hooked her arm around Yoshimi Tamamo's. She was very dissatisfied with her boyfriend's dumbfounded expression. So beautiful, Ikeda Kiko said excitedly. Your boyfriend is amazing. He's very ordinary, just barely enough to be my boyfriend. Yoshimi Tamamo said modestly, but she was a little proud in her heart. He's so smart and ordinary? So what? In the beginning, he took the initiative to confess to me and insisted that I be his girlfriend. I reluctantly agreed to him. Really? Isn't that right, Watanabe? Yoshimi Tamamo hooked her arm around Toru Watanabe's arm and exerted more strength, burying Toru Watanabe's arm deeper into the mountain. Yes. So beautiful, you're so happy. Ikeda Kiko was very envious, and then whispered in her ear, but you have to be careful, although he quarreled with that woman, their relationship seems to be very good. Speaking of this, Yoshimi Tamamo's good mood disappeared again. She stared at Rin Kiyono's back, thinking about how to beat her and let everyone know. Yoshimi Tamamo was the most beautiful girl in Kamigawa. Chapter 42. In terms of the number of people, the dolphin show was undoubtedly the most popular event in the aquarium. The stands were full of people. But strangely, there was no one sitting in the front row around them. Everyone was squeezed in the back. Why don't you want to sit in the front? Can't you see more clearly? Toru Watanabe asked Rin Kiyono. In his mind, Rin Kiyono was basically the same as a know-it-all. Rin Kiyono looked at the dolphin's round head in the pool. Before she could say anything, Yoshimi Tamamo answered first. You don't have to buy a raincoat to sit in the back row. I recommend the 4th row. It's the closest position and won't get wet. After that, she looked provocatively at Rin Kiyono across Toru Watanabe. Rin Kiyono nodded and replied politely, I see. Thank you, Tamamo. You don't know? Toru Watanabe was a little surprised. This is my first time at the aquarium, but I can probably guess the reason with one look. Rin Kiyono looked at the dolphin with sparkling eyes. Let's go. Although it wasn't very obvious, it was rare for the literary girl Rin Kiyono to be so eager. Sure enough, women couldn't live without cute animals. Yoshimi Tamamo was very dissatisfied. Little Che, praise me. Toru Watanabe pointed at the staff who walked to the pool. It's about to start. Let's hurry and find a seat. Yoshimi Tamamo stayed where she was and didn't let Toru Watanabe leave. Praise me. You're amazing. Toru Watanabe was helpless. Yoshimi Tamamo glanced at Rin Kiyono arrogantly, but Rin Kiyono had already walked to the seat she wanted. TSK. Yoshimi Tamamo felt tired. Even the strength she used to hold Toru Watanabe's arm was weak. Toru Watanabe took the opportunity to pull out his arm and quickly followed. Rin Kiyono found a seat in the fourth row, near the aisle. Next to her was a young mother with a child. When she sat down, she waved at the child cutely and immediately looked at the dolphin. When the young mother saw Toru Watanabe walking over, she probably thought that they were a couple, so she held the child on her lap and made some space for them. Thank you. Toru Watanabe smiled at the child and sat down happily. Just when he thought that he could take the opportunity to avoid Yoshimi Tamamo forced herself to sit beside him, and the seat suddenly became crowded. The young mother's gaze changed when she saw the three of them holding each other's arms. The child on her lap was still immersed in Toru Watanabe's smile just now. He opened his round transparent eyes and stretched out his chubby little hand to him. The young mother stopped the child and forced him to turn his face to the other side. If the child was a little older, perhaps she would have to teach him, this brother is a bad person, you can't learn from him. Ikeda Noriko and Kotori Itsuki were not so lucky. They sat in the last row, but in fact, they were not far away. The performance was really wonderful. The dolphin jumped and swam in the water, and interacted with the staff members who were as slim as fish. The water flowed, the rhythm, and the interaction was full of feelings. The dolphin was very healthy, so the water splashed high. Toru Watanabe might be really hated. There were so many people sitting in the fourth row, but he was the only one who was splashed by the water. Didn't you say that the fourth row is safe? He wiped the water on his face. Yoshimi Tamamo held her stomach and laughed. Your luck is too bad. Ahaha, I've been here so many times, but this is the first time I've seen someone in the fourth row get splashed. She took out a beautiful package of tissue from her bag. Here, wipe it. Thank you. At this time, the dolphin jumped high again. Rin Kiyono, who was completely focused on the performance, also looked up. After this jump, the 15-minute performance entered a short break. The dolphin was patted on the head by the staff members at the edge of the pool to recover its strength. Rin Kiyono couldn't help but want to stand up and look at the dolphin carefully. Ah! She let out a soft cry and sat back down. Watanabe-san. What's the matter? Toru Watanabe, who lowered his head and was focused on wiping the water, responded. She helplessly sighed. You sat on my skirt. Ah, sorry. Toru Watanabe looked down. Rin Kiyono's high-waisted white skirt was indeed partly under her butt. Seeing this scene, Yoshimi Tamamo was dissatisfied. Xiao Che, why didn't you sit on my skirt? Ah! Toru Watanabe was stunned and didn't understand the situation. You sat on her skirt, which means that you treat her as an intimate person in your heart and don't care about distance. You didn't sit on my skirt, which means that there is still a sense of distance between you and me, right? Didn't you force yourself to sit down and squeeze me over? Sophistry. If you weren't intimate with her, even if I squeezed you over, you would still pay attention to the distance, right? If you sit with a girl who isn't intimate with you, boys will make sure not to touch each other like gentlemen. I feel that what you said makes sense, but I'm not a gentleman. Toru Watanabe originally wanted to say, I'm not a gentleman, I'm a Tokyo handsome guy, but he felt that he wasn't qualified, so he let it go. Yoshimi Tamamo looked at Toru Watanabe speechlessly and didn't know what to say for a moment. Rin Kiyono, who made sure that her skirt wasn't wrinkled, laughed. Watanabe-san, have you already fallen in love with me? Even if I fall in love with dolphins, I won't fall in love with you. Don't worry. You don't like dolphins. Rin Kiyono's face suddenly turned cold. Was that the main point? Yoshimi Tamamo snorted proudly. Xiao-Che definitely likes penguins. Wait, let me show you the penguin photo I just took. Penguins? Rin Kiyono's eyes flashed. There are penguins here. Of course. Yoshimi Tamamo answered impatiently. She opened the photo album on her phone and showed the penguins fighting for food in the water to Toru Watanabe. Yoshimi Tamamo's phone was like her own style, covered with all kinds of decorative stickers, beautiful and overly gorgeous. Look, the penguins are cute, right? Both of their hands are waving. I really want to hug them. Rin Kiyono stared at the phone screen and said, Tamamo-san, those are flippers. Those are obviously hands. How can they be feet on both sides of the body? Tamamo-san, since you like them, you should spend more time to understand them. Yoshimi Tamamo stared at Toru Watanabe. Why are you staring at me? Although I have studied marine organisms, I don't know anything about penguins. But Toru Watanabe believed in Rin Kiyono. He nodded and said, they are flippers. Yoshimi Tamamo's breath suddenly became heavier. The sweet smell that Toru Watanabe was used to hit him in the face again. He ducked slightly, and smelled Rin Kiyono's very comfortable fragrance. Xiao-Che, penguins or dolphins, which one do you like? Yoshimi Tamamo asked in the tone of a girlfriend. Rin Kiyono touched her chin. It's hard to choose. But dolphins are cuter, they are more humane. I'm not asking you. Yoshimi Tamamo rolled her eyes and stared at Toru Watanabe. My opinion doesn't matter, right? Toru Watanabe looked at the pool and wondered why they hadn't started yet. Dolphins were really lazy animals. I also want to know which side Watanabe-san will choose. Rin Kiyono smiled kindly like a judge giving a chance to a criminal. It's time to prove your taste, Watanabe-san. Are these two women crazy? Whether it's dolphins or penguins, I don't like them. Toru Watanabe said, I like the wild animals that roam the countryside, and the cattle chewing the grass on the ridge. The taste of a country bumpkin. Yoshimi Tamamo snorted. It's really bad. Rin Kiyono nodded. She was as decisive and ruthless as a judge who heard a statement and said, there's no hope, death penalty. I say, the two of you, that's enough. Especially you, Kiyono-san. You've also watched The Great Gatsby, right? The first sentence, whenever you want to criticize others, you must remember that not everyone in this world has the advantages that you have. Didn't you learn anything? But Watanabe-san, this world is unfair. The only thing you can do is to work hard to change yourself, instead of trying to negotiate with others and make them give up their advantages, even if these advantages are determined by birth. I can't win against you. Toru Watanabe admitted defeat. Rin Kiyono smiled slightly. You're already very good to challenge me with the will to win. It doesn't matter whether I win or lose, but, Toru Watanabe looked stern, I won't allow you to say that cows are not cute. Cows are such diligent animals. Not only do manual labor, but they can also be milked and their meat can be eaten. Yoshimi Tamamo looked puzzled. Isn't the cute part a bit too strange? That's not all, they can also help with homework. Homework? The two beautiful girls asked at the same time. The old cow in the village pooped a big pile of shit on the way to school. It left a deep impression on me. So during the summer vacation of the second year of junior high school, when I couldn't think of anything to write for the summer report, I made up an article called A Study of Cows' Diet, Farm Work and Feces. Toru Watanabe spread out his hands and concluded, Look, cows are so cute. Yoshimi Tamamo was speechless for a moment. She was afraid of Toru Watanabe's hometown. A cow actually pooped on the road. Although it was a cow. Rin Kiyono rubbed her temples. After listening to this paragraph, she felt a headache coming on. Watanabe-san, being cute doesn't equal being useful. I hope you can understand this point. Also, when it comes to research, you can't just make it up. When Toru Watanabe was about to continue to elaborate on his aesthetics, the dolphins in the pool suddenly jumped up, so no one listened to him anymore. After the dolphin show, which was far less interesting than cows eating grass, Toru Watanabe's personal opinion, Yoshimi Tamamo suggested that they go to the gift shop to buy aquarium accessories. He excused himself by saying that he still had work in the afternoon. After leaving them, Toru Watanabe turned into a DVD shop near Shinagawa Station, ready to rent the original English sound disc. As for Spanish, he hadn't learned it yet, so he didn't plan to practice listening and speaking through this kind of entertainment for the time being. Toru Watanabe didn't know anything about American TV series. After walking around the shop, he didn't find a suitable American TV series. Instead, because he had a little money on him, he couldn't help but buy the first season of Sword and Saber on Blu-ray. I should have consulted Rin Kiyono. Toru Watanabe didn't mind asking for advice from people he hated, as long as the other party was indeed better than him and was willing to guide him. Just as he took out his phone to see if there was any similar information on the internet, a familiar figure walked in through the door of the shop. Watanabe, aren't you working? In addition to clothes, Rin Kiyono, who had dolphin and penguin plushies, mocked him. At this point, this level of poisonous tongue could no longer make Toru Watanabe angry. He glanced at the two white plushies in transparent plastic bags. Thank you for not exposing me just now. Although I hate lying, as long as it's not to me, I don't have the habit of exposing others. I see. Toru Watanabe nodded and said as if he remembered something, Right, I was just about to consult you. Please recommend a few American TV series that are helpful for me to practice speaking and listening. As long as you want, you can practice any American TV series, but if you want me to recommend, I'll choose Downton Abbey and Doctor Who. Thank you. Tetsumasa Watanabe was about to look for a TV series when Rin Kiyono said, These are all DVDs, and they have subtitles for ordinary people. If you want, I can lend you mine. Can I? Rin Kiyono smiled proudly. Targeting you first, borrowing your personal belongings next. This is the sixth way to make you fall in love with me. Why was the fifth one missing like the second and third one? But forget it, Toru Watanabe wasn't interested in these, and he would be ridiculed if he asked. Learning was more important. He said, If it's possible, can you lend it to me now? I want to start watching it today. Rin Kiyono thought for a while and nodded. Wait a moment. Then she walked around the shop and picked up a few Blu-ray discs. When it was time to pay, Toru Watanabe saw the cover. It was a documentary about dolphins and penguins. Rin Kiyono lived in an apartment near the school. Toru Watanabe found that he could see this tall building from his simple rental apartment. The two of them lived so close. Maybe they bought barley tea from the same shelf in the same supermarket. Toru Watanabe could only think of barley tea, and Rin Kiyono might only drink black tea. After a while, Rin Kiyono came upstairs and handed Toru Watanabe 2 discs. They were the Blu-ray discs without subtitles of Downton Abbey and Doctor Who. You lent me books before, and now you're lending me discs. I really don't know what to say. Next time, I'll treat you to a meal. It's fine even if it's a better place. Rin Kiyono shook her head. Her shiny black hair swayed. No need. If I want to drink in the future, don't say that you don't have money. Toru Watanabe smiled. Kiyono, I found that you're actually quite good. Even if I don't like you, I'm happy to be friends with people like you. No. The voice of rejection was the answer. Looking at Toru Watanabe's speechless face, Rin Kiyono smiled brightly. Didn't I say it at the barbecue shop? I won't be friends with people who lie, unless you admit that you're not human. Goodbye. Toru Watanabe turned and left. Because it was not far from the rental apartment, Toru Watanabe chose to walk home. As a result, he was sweating all over. After taking a shower, he poured a cup of iced tea and watched Downton Abbey, with the fan blowing on it. Therakamba Tumak Truth and Anna Relationships. Toru Watanabe repeated it in the same mellow and elegant tone, and then translated. Between people, speaking the truth too much will also lead to the opposite. I completely agree. He raised his glass to the character on the television. Toru Watanabe repeated this sentence 3 times. After confirming that the sentence and tone were exactly the same, he continued to watch. The next time he bickered with Rin Kiyono, he would use this sentence to make her suffer the consequences of her own actions. When he thought of this scene, Toru Watanabe felt that the barley tea in his hand suddenly had the aroma of black tea. Chapter 43. The weather was getting hotter and hotter. When Toru Watanabe went to the public swimming pool at night, he found that there were many more people. It was no longer realistic for him to swim 50 meters back and forth without stopping. He had no choice but to give up on freeloading and apply for a swimming card at the gym. On the afternoon of Monday, May 26th, there was a sudden rainstorm in Tokyo. The originally clear sky was covered in dark clouds in a few seconds. Water droplets covered the entire window glass, making splashing sounds. Toru Watanabe, who was in a modern society class, was in a good mood even though he didn't bring an umbrella. It had been a long time since it rained. Mr. Inoue, who was teaching modern society, stopped and looked out the window. He adjusted his black-rimmed glasses and turned on the fluorescent lights. The dark classroom was filled with a warm atmosphere. This kind of economic phenomenon is uncommon, but it has always existed. For example, in Wall Street in 1994, after the class. Wow, it really rained. That should be the rain, right? Or maybe it's just an ordinary summer rainstorm. Idiot. It's only May. It's not even summer yet. How can it be a summer rainstorm? Keisuke Saito and Osamu Kanai were arguing by the window about meaningless things. Toru Watanabe packed his bag and asked, "Are we going or not?" "Coming, coming." The two of them hurriedly returned to their seats and grabbed their bags. The 3 of them headed to the club building together. On the way, they heard many people discussing the sudden rainstorm. The entire campus was filled with a peaceful and comfortable atmosphere. After walking through the corridor and arriving at the club building, the 3 of them went to their respective activity classrooms. Before the midterm exam ended, it might be more appropriate to call them self-study classrooms. In the activity classroom of the Human Observation Department on the 5th floor, Miki Kujo was lying on the sofa, asleep. She probably didn't go to class in the afternoon. She was usually high and mighty, but she was very ordinary when she slept. Her whole body was curled up, and she was hugging a pillow. Brand new manga and light novels were scattered around the sofa. The tea in the cup was still warm, and the final score of Mario Kart was on the television. Her game ID, Miki Kujo, was ranked first. Toru Watanabe looked around as he walked to his seat. The sound of the steel chair being pulled out woke her up. "Watanabe? Make another sound and I'll kill you." Miki Kujo didn't open her eyes. She murmured softly and hugged the pillow even harder as she continued to sleep. She was quite grumpy when she woke up. Toru Watanabe decisively fell silent. Not to mention Miki Kujo, who had a bad temper to begin with. Even someone who was usually a nice person would have the urge to kill or even destroy the world once they got out of bed. When he took out Spanish grammar and vocabulary from his bag, Rin Kiyono walked in with light steps. She frowned slightly when she saw the mess on the floor. She pulled out the steel pole chair in a gentler manner than Toru Watanabe's. The sound she made was very soft and did not wake Miki Kujo up. After sitting down, Rin Kiyono took out a book to read as usual. This time, it was an English version of Animal Encyclopedia, Dolphins. Toru Watanabe saw this book on Sunday when he went to the Kiigwo bookstore. However, it was a Japanese version translated by Ito Nichi. Because he was not interested in dolphins, and Tokyo Handsome did not need to know about dolphins, he did not read it. The 3 of them listened to the sound of rain, read the encyclopedia, learned Spanish, and slept until a deafening thunder woke Miki Kujo up. She sat on the sofa with her knees bent and stared blankly at the empty space. After a while she said, "Watanabe, get me some grapes. I'm studying. Bang! Toru Watanabe grabbed the pillow that flew over. It still had Miki Kujo's remaining fragrance on it. Go! The girl who threw the pillow ordered as she fell down again. Toru Watanabe put the pillow under his but in dissatisfaction and prepared to use it as a cushion. Anyway, the steel pole chair was not comfortable to sit on, and it was not hot to turn on the air conditioner in summer. He stood up and walked to the refrigerator. I'm helping you. You should at least give me a salary. Not to mention tens of millions, at least $1 million a month, right? Miki Kujo yawned lazily and ignored him. The luxurious refrigerator door opened. There were all kinds of washed fresh fruits and desserts that Toru Watanabe had never seen before. He picked up the plate of grapes, walked to the sofa, and put it on the small table. Miki Kujo picked up the grapes and pulled a few from the bottom. Her hands were full. Here, your salary. Her hands looked slender because of the good proportions. In fact, they were only the hands of a young girl. In other words, Toru Watanabe's salary and the grapes in her hands were only 4. Miss Kujo, I'm also a man with integrity. I'm sorry. Miki Kujo looked up and glanced at Toru Watanabe, so Toru Watanabe obediently took the salary from her hands. Looking at his aggrieved look, Miki Kujo happily ate the grapes and then played Mario Kart with her feet. Toru Watanabe took the 4 juicy grapes and sat angrily on the pillow that Miki Kujo was hugging just now. He imagined sitting on Miki Kujo's face to relieve and forget the pain. Isn't this Mr. Lu Sun's way of mental victory? Won't I become RQ now? No. Toru Watanabe came to his senses and quickly stuffed a grape into his mouth and began to study Spanish seriously. The grape was delicious. It was sweet and juicy. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but eat the second one. Just as he was stuffing it into his mouth, he noticed Rin Kiyono's gaze. You want to eat? Toru Watanabe handed over the grape in his hand. As soon as he finished speaking, Miki Kujo's voice came from outside the window, accompanied by the sound of rain. If you dare to give what I gave you to others, I'll make you jump from here. This is the 5th floor. Too low? How high do you want to jump? I can build you a building. Aren't you being generous in the wrong place? The settlement fee for a deceased person is always high. Miki Kujo's game character was far ahead and kept throwing banana peels behind. I can also take the opportunity to sponsor Kanagawa High School, on the condition that the school rules that students must join clubs are changed. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Sorry, I can only eat these grapes. Rin Kiyono put down her book and sighed. Watanabe-san, why do you think I want to eat grapes? Then why are you looking at me? I just feel that you seem to enjoy Kujo ordering you around. Do you like this? Did I use the wrong method before? Seeing Rin Kiyono begin to think seriously, Toru Watanabe was speechless. Who in the world likes being ordered around? If it weren't for his parents, he would have killed Miki Kujo and left. This is work. Following orders is the bounden duty of an underling. He said unhappily. I see. You don't deny that you like being ordered around. I have nothing to say to you. Toru Watanabe stuffed the 2 grapes in his hand into his mouth. His cheeks puffed up like a squirrel's. After a short and unpleasant conversation, the activity classroom returned to silence. Only the sound of the rain outside the window could be heard. It was time for school to end. Although it was summer with long days and short nights, the corridor and the sky outside the window were dark. The sharp arrows shot to the ground made a cold sound. The air was filled with a chill. Toru Watanabe stood in the hall on the 1st floor, thinking about how to go back. There was also the matter of Yoshimi Tamamo signing in. Today is the 1st month. What should I do? The rain hasn't stopped. I shouldn't have brought my instrument to school. Call your family to pick you up? My parents will be home very late. Me too. Then let my father give you a ride. Senior sister is the best. 3 girls holding instruments came from the shoe cabinet behind him. Toru Watanabe looked at the petite girl and saw the name Asako Hanada on the cello case. This is the girl that Guajing Xiu likes, he thought in his heart. The three girls came closer and saw Toru Watanabe through the dim light. They subconsciously lowered their voices. The little girl named Asako Hanada was a little shy because of Toru Watanabe's gaze. She used the cello case to block his view. Toru Watanabe turned his head to look at the rain. It would be bad if he was misunderstood. After a while, Rin Kiyono, who returned the key to the activity classroom, changed her shoes and walked under the eaves of the corridor. You also didn't bring an umbrella? It was stolen. Rin Kiyono's tone was a little angry. Stolen? Rin Kiyono was unwilling to give up. I put an umbrella in the place where I put it for a long time. It's gone. Ahaha. Toru Watanabe's carefree laughter attracted the surrounding students who were waiting for the rain. He was too happy because Rin Kiyono was rarely at a disadvantage. Rin Kiyono glared at him, and then looked helplessly at the rain that showed no signs of stopping. Because there was nothing to do, Toru Watanabe, who was in a good mood, began to chat with her. The content of the chat was to show off that he knew the cause of Mayu. The cold air from the north and the warm air from the south meet in the middle and lower reaches of China's Yangtze River, forming a wandering quasi-stationary front. This quasi-stationary front extends from the middle reaches of China's Yangtze River to the east, all the way to Japan. This rain that lasts for a month or even longer is called Mayu. Rin Kiyono massaged her temples with a headache. I really admire you for being able to use a triumphant tone to repeat your textbook knowledge. Also, I've had enough of the rain. Please stop talking about rain. This is called appropriate weather. Most people call this not being able to read the air. Is that so? Watanabe classmate, I suggest that you cut your hair shorter. Is it very long? Toru Watanabe stroked the bangs between his eyebrows. It was still below his eyebrows. No, this will make you look smarter. Hee. The three members of the music department snickered like musical instruments. Toru Watanabe said in a bad mood, I'm already smart enough. I have no plans to become smarter. Saying such a thing already proves that you're not smart enough. You have a new email. Toru Watanabe was silent. It's not that he can't win against Rin Kiyono, but the monthly signing gift is very important. After all, it's related to whether or not he can beat the Kujo family with 1 trillion yuan in assets. Once again, he's not a coward. But if it must be said that he's a coward, Toru Watanabe will accept it. After all, everyone, please think carefully. Sometimes being a coward when it's time to be a coward is also a kind of talent. Number of days signed in, Yoshimi Tamamo, 30 days. Player received a signing gift pack. Points, 5,000. Money, 1 million. Charm discount coupon, 30% discount for players with charm below 10 points, 30% discount for players with charm above 10 points. Points? And it's exactly 5,000 points? It's the same as the points reward for defeating Yoshimi Tamamo. Toru Watanabe picked up his cell phone and dialed Miki Kujo's number. He saved it after answering the call on Saturday. What's the matter? Miki Kujo's impatient voice came through. Watanabe, do you think I'm like you who only needs to study? I have to deal with work every day that you can't finish in your lifetime. If there's nothing important, I advise you to start thinking of a reason to not let me punish you tomorrow. Kujo, no, Miki, do you think I still have a chance? Huh? Chapter 44. What chance? Get back together. Miki, I like you the most. Please be my girlfriend. Miki, you're crazy. Beep. Beep. Toru Watanabe clicked his tongue. He was too impulsive and was blinded by the points. How could such a simple confession be enough to win over Miki Kujo? He might even be punished the next day. Toru Watanabe's heart was as cold as the rainy May evening when he thought about taking off his clothes and doing gymnastics. You've been rejected. Rin Kiyono chuckled. Not only Rin Kiyono, but the trio from the wind department were also sneaking glances at Toru Watanabe. How could you leisurely guys understand my thirst for points when I have a blood feud with someone like you? Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono and was about to retaliate when he suddenly had an idea. She was also a super beauty. As long as he could win her over, not only could he borrow the power of Kiyono's family, he could also gain a lot of points. He sighed again in his heart. Forget it. Rin Kiyono insisted on not lying. He did think that it was a stupid thing to do, but he admired her in his heart. Taking advantage of such a pure person wasn't something a Tokyo handsome guy would do. Yoshimi Tamamo was a gold digger. All he needed to do was give her money. Miki Kujo was his enemy. It didn't matter how much he deceived her. He could even use the points he gained from her to take revenge. The thrill of revenge would be even stronger. Although Rin Kiyono's personality wasn't good, she wasn't a casual person. The only way to get points from her was to make her truly fall in love with him. He didn't plan to do that. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe, who was staring at her in a daze. She covered her collar with her hand. Classmate Watanabe, a rainy day can indeed stimulate a person's impulses to commit crimes. If you want to molest me right now, please at least choose a clean place with no one around. Toru Watanabe came back to his senses. The surrounding gazes made him want to die. Vaguely, there were even slanderous comments like, "The DPI is telling the truth. The Human Observation Department is so promiscuous. So he's a flirt. And, should we call the police?" He sighed helplessly. He had lost a lot of face. "See you tomorrow, Kiyono classmate. Please be careful on your way back." After saying that, he rushed out. Unlike other students who could wait for their parents to pick them up, he could only rely on himself in Tokyo. The rain didn't seem like it was going to stop any time soon, so he decided to run back as part of his training. Rin Kiyono, who was behind him, subconsciously reached out her hand. She wanted to call out to him, but in the end, she didn't manage to do so. She wanted the driver who would pick her up to take her home. Awesome! On a rainy day, Toru Watanabe set off from Shiya Station and ran along the Marunouchi line. Other than trams, cars, and motorcycles, no one was his match. The tie on his chest was wet from the heavy rain and stuck to his chest. Occasionally, the wind would blow it up and hit his face. As long as he didn't care about what others thought, running in the heavy rain wasn't a shameful thing. Toru Watanabe understood this principle. This carefree mood continued until his sneakers were wet. He stepped on water, and his wet socks wrapped around his feet like a snake. Toru Watanabe's mood suddenly returned to reality. Then, the shop owners, fruit vendors, and passers-by with umbrellas seemed to have suddenly appeared. "Welcome. Thank you for your patronage." He bought the cheapest transparent umbrella, which cost 300 yen, even though he was already soaked. Toru Watanabe felt that he was far less powerful than Rin Kiyono when he was being watched by others. What kind of willpower supported her to not lie all this time? Was it the disgust of lying? In this world, it was easy to live without being hated by others. Just give up, compromise, and pretend to be yourself. Face your own heart, don't care about others' opinions, and never make up lies. How many people could live like this for even a day? Rin Kiyono persisted for more than 10 years. Toru Watanabe, who was standing under the eaves of the convenience store, gritted his teeth and put the umbrella in his hand in the common umbrella area of the convenience store. It was a stormy day, and the umbrella area was already empty. The transparent umbrella stood out like a sore thumb, just like Ching Yi-ling. Tokyo handsome guy is not weaker than others, and will definitely stand at the top. Toru Watanabe rushed into the heavy rain under the gaze of the cashier who looked at him like he was an idiot. Halfway through, he regretted it again. Why was he acting cool? Even if he went back in the rain, he should at least take the umbrella he just bought with him. That was 300 yen. In his hometown, that was an amount that could let his junior do anything in a day. Damn it! Go to hell, wet sneakers. Toru Watanabe, who felt very ashamed and regretful, vented his anger on his sneakers. Sure enough, the destined great Toru Watanabe still has an unforeseeable future. After running all the way home and taking a hot bath, Toru Watanabe used the last potato cent from his hometown to make curry. Then, while eating and drinking barley tea, he continued to watch Downton Abbey. Before going to bed at night, he still cared about his foolish behavior during the day. But after the first time, he wouldn't care too much about other people's opinions next time, right? At least, when it came to running in the rain. The next day, when the rain was still falling, Toru Watanabe met Rin Kiyono at the shoe cabinet. In order to show the fact that he was more amazing today than yesterday, he told her about the experience of running in the rain yesterday. The two of them, one talking and the other listening, walked toward the floor where the first year of high school was. So that's how it is. Rin Kiyono, who had been silent all this time, nodded. I understand what Watanabe classmate meant. You said that you no longer care about other people's opinions. I can only say that it's the beginning. Toru Watanabe said modestly. After saying that, Toru Watanabe raised his right palm and pointed at the atrium in the rain. Kiyono-kun, he said confidently, I can see that in this Kamigawa High School, the only ones who will really stand out in the future are you and me. What about Kujo classmate? Rin Kiyono asked with a serious expression. She. Toru Watanabe wanted to change the topic. What about her? Rin Kiyono stared at him and asked. She has already stood out. Rin Kiyono tilted her head slightly and asked doubtfully, Didn't you say that you don't care about other people's opinions? Why don't you insist on not answering me? This. Kun Watanabe, you are indeed very outstanding. I also admit that you will become even more outstanding in the future. But it's too early to put yourself on the same level as me. Rin Kiyono laughed like a mischievous child. She somewhat proudly flipped her wet hair and floated into Class 1. In the corridor, Toru Watanabe's mood suddenly became bad. After watching Rin Kiyono sit down in her seat, Toru Watanabe walked back to his class. When he passed by Class 2, he looked at Yoshimi Tamamo's beautiful eyes. You have a new email. Yoshimi Tamamo's sign-in has been terminated. You have a new email. Temporary event. On May 27, 803, as the Tokyo handsome guy, you were once again unilaterally broken up with by your girlfriend. Event 1. Successfully reconcile with Yoshimi Tamamo. Event duration, 1 week. Event reward, mastery level, singing 100 points. Event 2. Successfully reconcile with Miki Kujo. Event duration, 1 week. Event reward, master level, piano 5,000 points. Event 3. Reconcile with 2 ex-girlfriends at the same time. Special reward, transcendent level, healing free. According to the provisions of the supplementary rules, based on the spirit of basic human rights, special reminder to players. This event has a huge risk to your life. Please participate with caution. Toru Watanabe rolled his eyes. Why didn't Miki Kujo remind him last time? Otherwise, how could he have ended up in this situation? Wait. Miki Kujo's event did not seem to be dangerous. The chilly water, stun baton, and strong flashlight he bought did not come in handy. Instead, he was kissed by the beautiful girl. The danger occurred after the event. Transcendent level, healing? What's that? And it doesn't cost points? Toru Watanabe clicked on the words, Transcendent level, healing. Transcendent level, healing. Self-healing ability that surpasses human limits. Heals all non-fatal injuries, including broken hands and feet. Side effects. Consumes a lot of stamina. Healing speed is slow due to insufficient stamina. Cannot heal injuries caused by hatchet. I want it. Toru Watanabe's eyes moved back and forth between huge risk to your life and transcendent level, healing free. Chapter 45. Activities 1 and 3, a huge risk to his life. With his current skills, did he even feel threatened by Yoshimi Tamamo? She was just an ordinary high school girl, except that she was a bit of a gold digger. On the other hand, Miki Kujo, who had the ability to kill him and didn't care about human life, didn't warn him that his life was in danger. Toru Watanabe didn't know much about women, nor did he know about love. He didn't know if this activity had anything to do with women's psychology or love, but he had a feeling that this risk to his life was definitely caused by Miki Kujo. He couldn't take any risks in this activity. If he was alone, of course, he could risk it, but he still had his parents. No one could guarantee that Miki Kujo wouldn't vent her anger on them. He didn't want his parents to be rich, but at least let them live a safe and healthy life. The only activity he could participate in this time was the second activity of getting back together with Miki Kujo. If he succeeded, not only would he be able to use 5,000 points to learn the master-level piano, which was worth 100,000 points, he would also be able to continue receiving check-in rewards. Toru Watanabe thought as he walked into Class 4. The students in the class saw him and whispered to each other. Toru Watanabe's expression was calm as he pretended not to hear anything. Did the news of him confessing to Miki Kujo yesterday and being framed by Rin Kiyono spread? Or was he seen running like an idiot in the rain? Calm down, don't mind what others think. Toru Watanabe recalled Rin Kiyono's contemptuous smile just now to suppress his shame. He reluctantly walked to his seat and took out his textbook as usual. Just as he was about to take out his earphones to listen to the morning news, Keisuke Saito rushed in. Watanabe, I heard that you and Rin Kiyono are together? What? Toru Watanabe took off his earphones. Keisuke Saito panted as he leaned on the desk. Someone said that they saw you two go to school together, talking and laughing. Are you guys dating? Firstly, Toru Watanabe flicked his index finger from under his thumb. We didn't go to school together. We met at the shoe cabinet. She raised her ring finger. Secondly, I was talking about me. The only one who laughed was Rin Kiyono. She gave him a thumbs up. Thirdly, if we don't date, it's impossible for us to date. Keisuke Saito blinked and looked at Toru Watanabe's right hand. What is this gesture? Toru Watanabe flicked his middle finger from under his thumb, hitting Keisuke Saito between his eyebrows like a hidden weapon. Lastly, don't spread rumors. Damn it. It's actually the serious flick. Keisuke Saito rubbed his forehead. You like One Punch Man too much. Toru Watanabe teased. He was relieved. Fortunately, it was not yesterday's incident. That's a man's romance. Keisuke Saito put the eraser on Toru Watanabe's desk. Watanabe, tell me honestly, what's the relationship between you and Rin Kiyono? The department head and the department head aren't even friends. I don't believe you. Keisuke Saito looked at him with a "don't lie to me" expression. Even if you guys aren't dating, Rin Kiyono, who doesn't interact with anyone, is willing to be with you. This means that there must be something between you two. Is it your turn to talk about the first and third place of our grade? Toru Watanabe joked because the specific situation was complicated and troublesome to explain. Ugh. Keisuke Saito leaned on the table and pressed his chest as if he was seriously injured. Watanabe, you're too cruel. Toru Watanabe patted him on the shoulder and comforted him. The truth is always cruel. You have to learn to accept it. I'm going to study. I'm going now. Just you wait for the midterm exams. After Keisuke Saito left, Osamu Kanai, who came late, came to ask again. Toru Watanabe was unable to study properly. How did this spread so quickly? He complained. The two of you walked from the first floor to the third floor in broad daylight in front of all the teachers and students. How could it not spread quickly? Tell me, how far have you gone? Have you kissed her? It's a rumor. I said it's a rumor. If this continued, Toru Watanabe felt that his life would be in danger even if he didn't participate in any gaming activities, let alone reconciling with her. Just in case, when Rin Kiyono was in the morning shift to talk about the exam schedule, he secretly sent a message to Miki Kujo. Miki, there's nothing between me and Rin Kiyono. The person I love is you. There was no reply. He thought for a while and found a haiku in his memory that he accidentally saw a long time ago expressing love. When the sun shines in the sky, it will never change. When there is no sunlight, my love can only stop. There was no reply. Did she not see it? After all, he was in class. Just as he thought this, his phone vibrated. How do you want to die? Toru Watanabe's spirit was lifted. A reply meant that the situation was still stable. I'll slowly grow old and die with you. 10 seconds later, Toru Watanabe began to reflect on whether he was too frivolous. When he vaguely felt that something was wrong, Miki Kujo replied. I've decided. Tonight you'll do radio gymnastics for me. Naked. Gentle and beautiful Miki. Sama, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Shut up. Yes. Toru Watanabe put his phone back in his trouser pocket, opened his notebook, took out a 0.5mm automatic pencil, and wrote, buying books related to love, mainly to win the favor of rich girls. Budget: $100,000. Estimated profit: $1 billion. There's no better deal than investing in myself. Toru Watanabe tapped the notebook with the tip of the pen, feeling very satisfied. The day passed very normally. He attended class seriously and focused on learning Spanish in the activity room. Miki Kujo did not really let Toru Watanabe do radio gymnastics. Toru Watanabe did not immediately act on the matter of getting back together. The beginning of The Great Gatsby said that if you put on a golden hat and jump high enough, women who like golden hats and jump high will naturally want to own you. What kind of boys does Miki Kujo like? Toru Watanabe did not know, so he decided to start with the general aesthetic of female high school students. Toru Watanabe contacted girls in the same village who were studying in high school in other cities. Ling, are you free? Call me senior. What kind of boys do female high school students like nowadays? As long as it's not like you. I'm serious, don't talk about other things. What kind of boys do female high school students like nowadays? What kind of serious topic is that? It's enough for me to say it's serious. Just answer me. Watanabe, do you have someone you like? No. It's a modern topic. It's a modern social topic. I'm going to study the love views of high school girls during the Heisei and Showa periods. Because his good friend from the same village, Reiko Hanma, was a blabbermouth, Toru Watanabe didn't want his parents to call and ask him questions. What kind of topic is that? Eastern Kyoto is like this. It's not as simple as our village. Tokyo people are not good people. Okay, tell me first. I'm doing my homework. Gentle, masculine, considerate, single-minded, kind, smart, good at sports. Is there such a man? I want one too. Ew, disgusting. Don't you think it's too fake? They don't even have requirements for looks. Handsome is the foundation, right? Do you even need to say it? Amazing. You asked me to talk about what kind of boys female high school students like. What I said, I can't guarantee that everyone will like it, but most girls will like it. What do you think I fit? Other than being handsome and smart, there's nothing good about you. Toru Watanabe's anger rushed to his head. Wasn't he the one who scolded Rin Kiyono? He's not such a shallow person. At the Shinagawa Aquarium, he even saved a couple. He's always kind, always gentle. Just as Toru Watanabe was trying to find a sense of existence in his heart, Ayako Homa sent another message. After this Sunday's exam, I want to go to Tokyo to see Senkuso-ji and Tokyo Tower. If you want to go, then go, who can stop you? Don't you understand what I mean? Hee hee, carrot carrot. That's it, my phone ran out of gas, good night. Toru Watanabe. I'll tell your mom you bullied me. Unread, Kanagawa Prefecture. A certain rented house. A girl wearing short sleeves and shorts was sitting at the table. She looked at the word unread and angrily slammed the table. The textbooks, stationery, and small mirror on the table shook violently as if they were hit by an earthquake. Chapter 46. Gentle, masculine, considerate, single-minded, kind, smart, athletic. Toru Watanabe wrote a note in his notebook that looked like a label. After doing this, he went to the gym where he applied for a swimming card. Because of the rainy day, there were less people here than usual. Toru Watanabe swam 10 laps in the 50-meter-long swimming pool, took a shower in the gym's bathroom, and then set off for Shinjuku to buy books from the Kikoku bookstore. There was a bookstore nearby, but the books there were more complete and varied. The books he wanted, such as How to Seduce a Rich Young Lady, might also be available. There were no empty seats in the car. Toru Watanabe leaned against the inner door and looked at the small Spanish vocabulary book that he had organized. When the car passed by the Shinjuku Jiaijin-san station, a little girl wearing a Kanagawa High School uniform and holding a heavy instrument got on. Toru Watanabe subconsciously looked at her. It was Asako Hanada with a cello. Toru Watanabe thought, isn't this the time to show gentleness and considerate? So he reached out to help her, but he almost dropped it. I'm sorry, he quickly said. Asako Hanada, whose face was red, quickly waved her hand. No, it's mine. It's quite heavy. Toru Watanabe put the instrument at his feet to prevent it from colliding. No, the instrument is not heavy, the main thing is the case. But this can play a very good role in protecting the cello. What did you say? Asako Hanada's voice was so low that Toru Watanabe couldn't hear it at all. Asako Hanada put her hands in front of her chest and took a deep breath. This action made Toru Watanabe startled, thinking that she was going to shout in the car. But Asako Hanada's voice didn't change at all and repeated it. Toru Watanabe, who still hadn't heard clearly, said, Yeah, I see. I'm really gentle. Maybe I don't need to spend money on books on how to be gentle, Toru Watanabe thought as he continued to read the vocabulary book. Asako Hanada, who was small to begin with, lowered her head due to shyness, did not realize that the conversation had ended. She hesitated for a moment before introducing herself in a low voice. I'm Asako Hanada from Grade 2 Class 1. Thank you for your help. After pausing for a while, she felt that as a senior, she had to lead the conversation. I went to the zither shop to learn the zither, and I'm going back now. The exam is about to start. Where are you going so late, Junior Watanabe? I see. Asako Hanada's mind was in a mess. What should I do? How could Watanabe be so perfunctory with his seniors? What should I do? The tram arrived at the station. Next stop, Shinjuku Sanchome, Shinjuku Sanchome. Toru Watanabe put away the vocabulary book and walked out of the carriage while, gently, greeting, Hanada-san, see you tomorrow. Asako Hanada's petite body trembled like a little rabbit. See you tomorrow? Why? And I haven't decided on the time and place. What should I do? I'm being pestered by a frivolous junior. The tram headed to Nakano Station, carrying the confused Asako Hanada away. Toru Watanabe was completely unaware of this. The next day was the last day before the midterm exam, and the school arranged for students to study by themselves. Those who wanted to relax their minds could sleep, and those who wanted to sharpen their weapons at the last minute could ask the teacher for help. In short, every student could spend the last period of time in their own way. During the afternoon break, Toru Watanabe's trio looked down at the courtyard from the balcony. Why not a sailor suit? Toru Watanabe sucked on the straw of strawberry milk. Watanabe, if you like sailor suits, why don't you go to Guangming High School? Keisuke Saito tore open the packaging of the rice ball. Osamu Kanai, who was chewing on the fried bread, said, That's right, the first thing to consider when entering a school is whether the school uniform is cool or not. I came here because of Kamigawa's Western-style uniform. If it's a sailor suit, From where we are now, we might be able to see the girl's chest. Keisuke Saito's eyes widened. Can we? The collar of a sailor suit is loose, right? What's there to bend over? Think about it. Damn it! Osamu Kunai roared. Watanabe, why didn't you say so earlier? Why didn't you say so earlier? That's right. I've had enough of Kamigawa's uniform. The collar has to be tied with a bow all year round. Isn't it hot? The one with the bow is a girl, right? What are you trying to do? Toru Watanabe looked at a female student in the atrium. No matter how he looked at it, whether it was bending over or sitting down, the bow perfectly protected her collarbone. A school uniform that didn't even allow one to see her collarbone was completely unnecessary. Keisuke Saito suddenly said, but being conservative also has its benefits. We can't look at other people's girlfriends, and other people can't look at our girlfriends either. Do we have girlfriends? Toru Watanabe asked. The trio fell into a short silence. Toru Watanabe changed the topic. How are you doing, Guajing? With the one in the piano department. Yeah, any progress? Keisuke Saito also asked. Sigh. Osamu Kunai sighed. Failed again? No. Osamu Kunai ate a piece of bread. I haven't talked to her yet. But Asako Hanada is a senior, so it must be very difficult. I think it's better for me to find a girl in the same grade as me first. Yeah, that's easier. Keisuke Saito nodded in agreement. Find her first. What do you think love is? Toru Watanabe said. Osamu Kunai replied, Of course I want to like only one person, but I have to consider the situation. What situation? I think Asako Hanada is quite cute. Toru Watanabe thought about Asako Hanada on the tram last night. That's right. It's because she's cute. What's wrong with being cute? Keisuke Saito asked. Think about it, I like her because she's cute, right? But there are so many cute girls in the world, it's hard for me to stop myself from liking them. Go to hell. Keisuke Saito said in annoyance. Watanabe, you can understand me, right? It's just like how you're hesitating between Kiyono-san and Kujo-san. Don't drag me into this. Toru Watanabe couldn't take it anymore. A loyal warrior like me is different from a playboy like you. A loyal warrior? When did you change your class? Last night. Just as the other two were about to complain, Toru Watanabe's phone rang. Hello. Bring me something to eat. You can't do it yourself. Beep, beep. Toru Watanabe put down his phone, and the other two who leaned over to eavesdrop immediately questioned, Watanabe, what's your relationship with Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo? What relationship? Rin Kiyono wants me to like her, and I'm pursuing Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo wants to use me to make Rin Kiyono angry. Toru Watanabe didn't lie, but he didn't tell the truth either. Let's explode. Watanabe will die a horrible death. Hey, apologize to all the Watanabes in the world. They might not be doing it now, they might be like you. Alright, I have to go get something to eat for the young mistress. Toru Watanabe said this proudly, but in his heart, he was cursing Miki Kujo 100 times from head to toe for ordering him around. Looking at the other two who couldn't enjoy their lunch and wanted to kill someone, Toru Watanabe laughed. Being good at finding joy in a difficult life, always maintaining an optimistic and positive attitude, is also one of the great guarantees that I, Watanabe, am destined to have a great future. Wait, Rin Kiyono, that boring woman, will also see me as a source of amusement? The three of them had the same expression. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.